I have no qualms. I'm on OBS. Do you see our, like, at least my voice moving in the audio box there?
Yes.
All right, then they can definitely hear us, probably. I'm disconnected from reality. I can't see the chat. I'm not in my regular chair. Spinning wildly here. Fishtailing. Shows a disaster already. Huh?
It says we're live, so.
All right. Oh, man. Always like a good neighbor. I want to... Oh, I should have talked to you about this earlier, Tony, but...
Kayla can hear us for the record.
We're in the green room. Why don't you skip the ad?
Hey, Kayla.
Hey, Kayla. I thought, and I maybe I would have to check into like the legality of this, but it would be 100% fun if we went like catfishing for weirdos on the internet one time.
That could be interesting.
Like on a show, like IRL. I'll be Dell, and you can be Frag, and we'll do To Catch a Predator.
I'm sure it wouldn't be hard.
No.
But where would we go? Like Yahoo was like, I have no connection to the internet anymore. I realize when they were doing Hansen versus Predator, I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about when they were talking about how they were contacting these children.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure there's chat rooms. There's probably still...
Well, one of them was Kick, and I did look up Kick because it looked interesting. Or was it? I don't know. It's one like you post pictures and it's like a weird anonymous...
Isn't Kick just like a mobile app?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's where most of them are out now. Because like, who, like, what
No
12-year-old's
sits at
gonna... Yeah, that's the thing.
Their HP desktop.
Yeah. 13 years old at home on my HP desktop. It's 2008. What are you up to?
I got my sweet gateway.
Yeah, now it's all on the go.
ASL?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they still ask that. Someone get into a chat room.
Kayla, log into a
would that if we
Let us
did that?
know.
Yeah, if we did that, would that point us out as narcs? Like if we went on the Kick as
Yes.
like catfishing and we're like ASL?
Yeah.
That'd be
It would
hilarious.
still be great. And no one would know it were... Well, I mean, anyone over the age of 30 would know what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
any younger, they'd be like...
Well, because now your profile basically tells you it tells everybody where you are, right?
Probably. I don't know.
Either that or ASL is probably so outdated. It's like, I don't know, like
We'd also
grunting.
have to get like a VPN, so we couldn't like...
Oh, yeah.
No one would find us.
Kale says, I got my Windows Millennium Edition all revved up.
Whoa!
Jill says, IRQ on my compact
Oh, damn!
Presario.
IRQ. That even...
What's that?
So IRQ
idea.
predated AIM. So like,
Oh my god.
Damn.
yeah. So
Oh my god.
like there was
ICQ.
yeah.
ICQ. Okay.
ICQ. It was a very short window that each one of those was relevant. Because like MSN had its day, AIM had its day, Yahoo had its day.
Yeah.
They all lived and died like way faster than they were like micro versions of whatever Facebook and MySpace
Yeah.
and Instagram and whatever
But
whatever
then
Twitter's
there's
becoming.
like stuff like TikTok. I mean, that's been around for a little while, but like in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things, not that long.
No, but it, if you're into that To Catch a Predator style content, like there are a lot of fucking predators on TikTok.
Yeah.
Jesus H Christ. And not like lurking in people's DMs or chats. They're like making their own videos. And, what do you do about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jill says, I just dated myself. And Kayla goes, my Windows Millennium is on a Presario.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Remember when the Blue Man Group were the spokesman for Intel for Pentium chips?
Yeah.
Yes.
The dog days of summer. God damn it. Like that, if I had to encapsulate the best time of my life when I was alive, probably when those commercials were on air.
Blue Man Group.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were selling fucking computer chips, and I wanted it. But what was I going to do with it? I wasn't going to buy a chip. As a kid, I think. I don't know when those commercials came out.
Yeah, you were probably, I remember them and I was young, so
I remember them, but I have like no time frame. Like in my head, I have no benchmarks to tie it to.
he was probably in high school.
Well, and here's the thing. We're now out of that era where you can be of a certain time period, because back when like TV had a schedule, everybody had to like go along with that stream. Now everything is on all the time, and there's no context anymore. You could say, "Don't you remember blank?" and it's completely contextualess because it could have been released yesterday, last year, 100 years ago, and it's always available. And you just go, "No," and thank God for it. I'm so tired of not having to point out that I'm old. You just go, "How do you have the time? I haven't seen the Black Cauldron yet." You know?
Kayla says,
Trying.
Now computer chips are chocolate chips. They go in all the cookies the web browsers collect.
I like my chips with dip.
Also true.
Yes.
Good Lord. All right, how long have we been going?
I don't know.
Look at the timer on OBS.
6 minutes. 5 minutes.
All right. Start winding up here. So, maybe we should get this out of the way here first. Did you do any research about Mark Twitchell? Do you know anything about Mark Twitchell, Tony?
Not really. Very, very high level cliff note of the cliff notes.
Yeah, he's like you probably associated with as the Dexter killer, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least that much. Okay, so yeah, that at least breaks through most of. So yeah, there's like a Mark Twitchell iceberg, I guess. Those are popular, but he's the fucking Dexter killer. So, as a little context, we're at. Oh God, it's insane. So like he was cheating on his wife. He moved to America for a while. A lot of this will be in the interrogation, but like this was at the point where the murder victim had disappeared off the planet. You know, he's been reported missing. Mark Twitchell is not a suspect, and this is the interview that talks him into a life sentence. There's 2 interviews available. The second one is a lot funnier. But you need this one to build up that one because it's so, I don't know, it's so innocuous, but the way it goes, obviously, I've seen it a billion times and I'll walk you through it hand in hand.
Aw.
So,
Jill says, so excited to watch this grandiose narcissist with you guys.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So, Krista, why don't you go ahead and stop the background music? We'll hit that, do it.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name's David. It's Flamingo Friday. Here's Tony. He's back on the show. I'm so excited. But before I introduce what we're doing, let me introduce the producer, obviously. You've been hearing her in the green room. She's going to be off camera.
Hi.
Krista's over there.
I'm over here with 2 monitors and 2 mouses.
Swapped. Well, good news is you don't have to touch that other mouse anymore.
Oh, good.
So mechanically, this button right here will start and stop our footage.
What?
So if you want to pause it to comment at any moment, like I will be doing.
Yeah, probably
There
in
it
the
is.
first 4 seconds. He's going to pause it.
I can't handle that much power.
Well, whatever. We'll get into it. So we're doing Mark Twitchell. He's the Dexter killer. We're saying in the green room. He fancied himself a real smart dude, like a narcissist, like Jill said, perpetual, like what are they, pathological liar, like the type of person who's superficially charming, but if you have to spend time over 15 minutes with him, I'm sure you'd be like, something's up.
Right.
Or at least most of us would.
So Kayla says, I don't know anything about this person other than David's description right now, but I'm excited to watch. Jill says, never got to enjoy the full interrogation, but I know the story well. And nice setup.
It's wild. So now before the victim they're going to talk about, the murder victim, was actually his second attempt.
Oh.
There's footage out there of his first attempted victim where he used the same scheme, lured this dude to the place, but was too weak to overpower the guy. So he was able to get away. So he was able to refine that for our man here. So let's go ahead and get rolling with our Twitchell footage. I love this interrogator too, by the way. I love his accent. Since this is Canadian, it's very calming.
Hey.
It's very ASMR. He's got a bit of a cough though, so you're gonna have to deal with that.
Okay, Mark. Now, just to go through things, like I mentioned to you that I'm going to do a taped interview with you and stuff. There's my ID. Okay.
Just really quick, you can tell this guy is not a high-level law enforcement agent because it's an off-the-rack suit. That's like a Sears, like that's not tailored. That looks like something he pulled out of his
I
dad's
thought that was
closet.
just like an overcoat. Like
That's his whole getup, man. Like that, like because Mark's coming in with a T-shirt. Like this is his blazer or sport coat or whatever, and it's just not. You know, I want to see him with something tighter. Is what I'm getting at.
Detective Mike Tabler, Police Service, and I'm here to talk to you tonight because of the fact that you happen to be the renter of a garage.
Garage. I love how he says that.
Under our attention due to a missing person. Okay. Now, first of all, can you please state your name for me?
Mark Twitchell.
And it's TWITCHELL.
Correct.
Okay. Your date of birth, sir.
Okay, obviously we've been through this a million times, but every interrogation or interview or whatever you want to call it starts out with this sort of shit. It's stuff that you can open up, like, because obviously they know his name. They know, like, they didn't call him in here with zero in their back pocket, so they know his name.
remind me your name again.
Yeah, like his agent shit. Like, but it's a way to get your foot in the door and get somebody talking because it's a zero consequence question. And that's what gets everybody's Sisyphusian task of that boulder started. Because once it starts, almost nobody can stop it. They think if I just push harder, we'll right the ship. Not so much.
4th of July, 79. Okay, and your address?
Getting his baseline, says Jim.
Yeah.
Dayton Crescent.
30 Dayton.
D-A-Y-T-O-N.
Okay. In
St. Albert.
St. Albert. Okay. And
Okay.
postcode there?
T8N4X4.
This guy's giving out very dad energy because, like, again, at this time, he's not even a suspect. Like, they just know that his garage is involved and there's a bunch of people who could have been in it.
Mm.
Same thing.
Pardon me?
It's the same.
Same number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. No landline at all.
Yeah, I use still in favor of landline just for cost and convenience, basically.
Okay. Yeah. And, okay. Now, the garage in question that we're talking about tonight, can you tell me the address of that place?
5712
Mhm.
40th Avenue.
5712 40th Avenue. And when did you rent that garage?
I began renting it on September 1st.
Okay. And you rented it September 1st? And who did you rent it from?
Like, they already have all this information. So now, after the fact, it feels like pulling teeth.
Kirkside?
Kirkside, all one word, yeah.
Okay. And you got the only key to, or was it one or two
There's
keys?
2 keys.
Okay. So you got 2 keys.
Mhm.
Okay. And where are those keys now?
You guys have the one that I had,
Okay.
and the other one, the last I heard of was with one of my production assistants, Mike Young.
Mike Young.
So here's a problem. He just locked himself into like one or the other. He says, you know, there are 2 keys, obviously, wherever that other one is floating around, a very small pool, but he's locked his ass into the key that he gave them. Like, that's his key because he rented the garage, and the one out there is the one that gets passed around. So why not just shrink the pool as little as possible, Mark, right? So another thing, too, is they're not going to get into it here, but the thing that makes him the Dexter killer is he basically set up a kill room. So what happened to John Altinger is he was lured to this garage via a Plenty of Fish ad. It was horribly murdered, like in a big Dexter-style kill room with a like tarp-covered table and like power tools and shit and a gutting
Nice.
kit and all this other crazy stuff. So, and he wrote it all in his laptop and he called it SK Confessions. Nice code, right? So I assume he wised up and was like, I better delete this. And he deleted it, but when they took his laptop, it was there, obviously. And so that's why they call him the Dexter Killer. Although, you know, he thinks he's so smart. By the second half of this, which we'll get to eventually, he is shut down because he's so fucking stupid. Like, and the cops basically rag on him. It feels like they're bullies on a playground at one point because they're walking around the garage where this murder happened. And he's like, see all those houses, Mark? They all got cameras. They got cameras, Mark. And like, they're just like rubbing in his face.
Have you heard of the Ring camera, Mark?
But he fucking was like, yeah, on the Dexter killer. And he was so smart. And he was just like, nope. Like immediately. He was caught immediately.
Jill says, such aloof, cool guy body language. Won't even take his hand off his chin while he talks.
Yeah, he looks like he's like flirting with the detective. Like, oh, hey. Like,
Yeah.
how's it going?
At this point, he's not feeling any pressure. So he's very interested in what's going on. The touching of his face might be a stress reaction, which, whatever, if you want to buy that body language analysis bullcrap. But, you can still get a vibe off of someone without a PhD in body language. And yeah, he's just like looking to find out what they know because, again, he knows what he did and they don't know jack shit yet. So I bet he was stroking himself off mentally through this entire thing. Like, it gets a little tight toward the end where he gets a little diarrhea of the mouth. But it feels, at least at this point, you can see he's just like really digging in to be like, yeah, he wants to get a slice of this pizza pie.
Bad, it's yours, right? Okay. Yeah. And you pay for it?
Yeah.
For the rental? Okay. Now I understand that you're doing this with a company and you're doing some other things. So, so you personally rented it on behalf of the company.
Right.
And what do you call your company?
Express Entertainment.
Express Entertainment, okay. And I understand you're filming and stuff like that there. Yeah. Okay. And that was the purpose of getting the facility.
Yeah.
Mike Young is one of your assistants and he has the other key?
Yeah.
Okay. And there are no other keys out for that garage anywhere?
None that I know.
Okay. Now, the locks on the garage, can you describe them? Now, I know there's 2 overhead doors and 1 pedestrian door on this garage.
Yes.
The 2 overhead doors face, I believe it's north, into the alley. And the pedestrian door faces the house at that address.
Right.
And
The setup that he is in is so weird. Like, it's a detached garage that's on somebody's property and somebody lives in the house.
So he's renting their garage from them?
Yeah. Like, to shoot this whatever he's doing in, and obviously it was just for his kill room, but that would feel so weird. Like, you're literally 8 feet from like where people lay their heads to sleep and you're over here like hacking away at a dude.
I guess here it wouldn't be much different than like a detached casita or like a guest house in the back. Like,
right. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're going to execute a crime, right? Like, and you're going to rent a space specifically for it. Like, do you want it to be a stone's throw from like where people are making mac and cheese in a pot on the stove, like right over yonder? Like, you could throw a stone and like really interrupt someone's like Matlock session.
I mean, plausible deniability. Like, yeah, they didn't hear any screaming. Like, everything was fine.
Oh my God. But that's the thing. Like, the human organism is completely unpredictable. And the fact that you would get another one into a garage with you and be like, yeah, now I'm going to kill this one. And be like, yeah, and I'll do it silent as a church mouse. Especially if, number 1, you're an idiot. And number 2, it's your first time. And spoiler alert, it wasn't. First one got away.
He learned. He's evolving.
Well, and it's sad because his first victim was like, if he were just more professional, he could have killed me.
If he was better at it.
Yeah, like he just kept saying unprofessional when talking about his encounter with this asswipe. Because he used a fake gun, and so the guy was like, I don't want to die, so he grabs the gun, realized it was plastic, and they're fighting over it, and it's a fucking shit show.
Wow.
And, here he is, got his second one, though.
Jill said it's such a tiny alley space, too.
Right.
house,
Like, if you see the footage, it's like here.
separate
She said
from
he's
you.
squirming. He's very interested in what they know.
Oh, yeah, see him? He's really, like, opening up and airing out the Johnson,
Yeah.
too. He's got the ball sweats
The
from
windows
stress.
are all locked and the doors are metal and nobody can see in there. And it's nobody's business what goes on in there, that's yours.
There's nobody's
A
business
lot
what
of the
goes
lights
on in
are
there.
very
Except for
dim.
when you murder.
We're trying to create a nighttime atmosphere, but the sunlight doesn't get in our way.
Of course, yeah. Things you have to do with the production.
Yeah, we try to control the light as much as possible.
Okay. So you rented this on the 1st of September, and then you're doing some filming. Okay. Now, what have you been filming there? Have you been filming every day, or what's?
So here's the thing: when you ask a narcissist about the thing they narcissist over, it's like a dam breaking. So get ready for a lot of movie industry talk, and we're gonna hear about his first Star Wars fan film.
Yay.
Nope, well, most of my stuff is all pre-production. I knew that I was gonna use it as a location for filming, so basically I began looking for something that's suitable, in like late August.
Yeah.
So, found that.
And like no one cares.
An ideal location, it worked great for what our purposes were,
Mhm.
and rented it. The only time that we actually spent shooting in that place was the last weekend of September.
The last weekend of September.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had an evening shoot on the Friday, and that was for a couple of hours actually at someone else's
Star
house.
Wars, the tale of the bent
Yeah,
Wookiee.
Yeah, basically.
And then all day Saturday is when we used the garage to film.
Okay.
So, sorry, my contacts.
Yeah.
Anyway. But, yeah, so all day Saturday we used to shoot in that garage area, and then the Sunday in the evening we filmed somewhere else. So, yeah, for that purpose, it was actually just the one day that we were there for actual shooting. Before that, we were in and out throughout the month for production design purposes, which was building our.
Remember what the question was? What are you shooting there? Here's an answer: the title of the thing, or a short description of the thing. He has yet
Let
to
me give you
say.
the calendar.
Yeah, like basically, here's my itinerary. What the fuck are you shooting there, dude? Well, we actually only, and here we are, 10, 20 minutes later, we've only shot there one day. Not an answer to the question. There is zero pressure at this time.
Set pieces, getting things set up in there, power, that kind of thing, getting everything ready.
Okay.
So what are you shooting there, Mark?
So you, what type of film is it, or that you're shooting? at
Same
this
question
particular
again,
time?
but slightly different. I hope to get the right answer.
Like what sort of a film is
It's
it?
a suspense thriller. Actually, it's a short film. The total runtime will be about 8 or 9 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Suspense thriller.
Right.
Okay, and what would you do?
I love it when he does that.
Once you
Is there
film
murder?
Yeah.
Go
That's
through
half the
editing
ASMR.
process. I tried to organize it so that it didn't have a lot of effects work to do, so it wouldn't take forever in post-production. But we edit the film together and then submit it to film festivals, try to get it picked up by a distributor.
What?
Hopefully somebody will grab it and use it in some way. Or it's also used as pitch material in order to develop a television series.
Can you start to see why they started to suspect him?
Avoiding the question.
Because literally every question was a fucking diatribe. Like, here's the thing. By and large, actually, people think their time is valuable. And if you're not involved with a crime, you want to get the fuck out of a police setting and back onto your own time. But if you're angling to find out information, or you're looking and going to probe and trying to make yourself look as innocent as possible, this is how to do it. Talk yourself into a fucking life sentence by answering a question with a thesis.
Jill says fancy words of saying I'm a loser wannabe.
Basically, like, you know,
But if he's also got that narcissism thing going on. Like, he's just turning it about him. Like,
yeah,
Right.
let me talk to you about me.
that's part of why he's so it's so nice to have the 1-2 punch of his 2 interrogations, because right now he's the smug, like, narcissistic, like, I'm gonna fool this motherfucker right out of town Twitchell, when in the second one it's a very shorter, very much more bald, gruffer detective who goes, "It's over, Mark. It's over. It's over, Mark. We got the body, Mark." And he just sits there like a toddler going, "What do you mean? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone." But what a douche.
Do our feature film out of it. Convince someone that, we know what we're doing as filmmakers, and that we deserve to get money basically to make more material. So it's only interested in developing everyone's career that way.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I just don't understand how that works.
Talk about your Star Wars film.
Well, you have to start from scratch your own way because in our industry, there's really only two ways to
Our
get in and
industry.
actually do
Yeah.
that kind of work. And one of
He's
them
a
is
major
train
player in the
film school,
Canadian
and then graduate and come out and
Suspense
do it.
thriller.
suspense thriller industry.
Usually that path doesn't.
But here's the thing, like Canada does have like a government funded thing for the arts. So as long as you shoot in Canada with Canadian cast, like the government gives you money for that shit.
Jill says, "Thank you, Spielberg."
Take you very far. It's kind of like more of the lower end kind of jobs. I'm more interested in writing, producing, and directing, and I've only noticed that for the 3 or 4 years that I've been trying to get into the industry, that the only way to do it is to make your own stuff.
The lower end jobs are nice, but they're not for me. Mark Twitchell.
I feel like he just keeps like spreading himself out farther and farther, like toward the cop. Like his leg has moved so close to the police officer.
Yeah, like that's his
I'm working on a comic.
his narcissism is allowing him to sort of splay. Most people will close in, and you'll see that they'll pull their legs together, they'll hunch down, they'll close their arms off, they'll do all that shit. Like he, I'm sure, like I told you before, he feels like he's snowing this guy. He's like, but by the mere essence of him being here for so goddamn long is, and you know what, we've been here 8 minutes, and it's just like he hasn't even answered 2 questions yet.
He said his address and he spelled his name.
Those don't count.
Feature that's actually going to have a decent budget in the neighborhood of about $3.5 million.
Which is amazing for him.
And
Wow.
just closing the first round of financing for that at the end of this month. And then we're moving into pre-production so we can finish off like casting A-list actors, getting all that stuff set up. And then
A-list
preparing
actors.
for that
Asterisk
by
Canadian.
May or April next year. So, yeah, it's been a long process. I started developing Day Players, which is the name of the comedy, back in December of
Oh,
last
P.S.
year.
Day Players was
And,
dog shit. Like there's some of it out there. Oh my god, what a fucking like it's like Tommy Wiseau's follow up after The Room. What the fuck was that one called? Roommates or some shit. Yeah, anyway, moral of the story is it's like, oh, you know, the same cookie cutter bullshit UPN put out in like the late 90s. Didn't work, sadly.
I kind of put myself through business school in a way to figure out what
In a way.
want to see in order to invest
I
in
watched
their
a
project.
YouTube video.
He went through a
All my
bankruptcy
blocks,
that
all
had to
my
do with
ducks in a row,
business.
and I've just been, I mean, even though working full time and a lot of times during the year in order to pay bills, I've still put in full time hours into the film to develop it because I'm just like, tunnel vision.
Oh, yeah.
I wanna
Oh
get a
yeah,
career
hey,
going.
remember Mark?
So
A dude
got
was
that whole
murdered, and
thing
we don't want to
developed and
fucking
going,
talk
and,
about you.
I didn't ask
pitched
you
it to
about
countless people,
that.
playing one side against the other.
That's another thing too. Is like you're pulled in. He hasn't asked why he's there.
Right. And none
They're
of
just
them
like,
ever
hey,
do.
there's an incident involving the garage. He's like, oh yeah, okay, come on. Being that
Let's watch
vague,
my film.
yeah, like seriously. And let's say maybe because people get convicted falsely. So if he was just an innocent asshole, but the evidence was there. Moral of the story is undue attention is what got you here, man. Like fucking.
Don't murder in a place you're making a film.
Well, no, if you're gonna do that, do like whatever. People are gonna murder each other. It's gonna be a law of nature. But I don't know. Everybody does it differently, and he wants to rub everybody's nose in it because he wants to be Dexter. He wants to be that guy who like looks the detective in the face, and he's like, "Not me," and like uses the force on him, and he's like, "This isn't the murder you're looking for," and they turn around and walk away.
Jill says, you were absolutely right about this detective. He knows what he's dealing with and is feeding into it. He knows he's got Twitchell's guard down.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's giving off major supportive dad energy. And it works because, like, Twitchell's eating it up, and why not?
Better to get talent and money to agree and come to the middle. And
Although, God bless him for sitting through this shit, because who gives a fuck where your money comes from?
our dealer is
Mark Twitchell.
So,
Mark Twitchell, yeah.
first round's supposed to be finished at the end of this month, and then sometime within the next 3 or 4 weeks after that, we're getting the full budget in so that we can actually move forward in making this thing. And we, like, my co-producer works out of Los Angeles, and he's done things like Ocean's
In the
11
industry,
and
detective.
In
I think
LA.
This next part was out, and
I'm free to
hopefully
go.
along those lines, we can
We work
try to
internationally.
get distribution deal with Warner Brothers and skip some of the red tape that usually comes along with trying to go in their front door and get hit by all their gatekeepers, which are
Not for this guy, Mark Twitchell.
It's tough. It's really hard, but it's very worth it. I love what I do.
Yeah.
And
Murdering people.
Obviously, you're very passionate about it.
oh yeah,
I love being a failed serial killer. Couldn't even make it to 3. I got 1 1/4.
On the first day that I stepped on the set in August of 06.
Oh, does he see the camera? Is he going to start acting?
He's not an actor. He'll say that.
Nothing else would make me.
Oh, he says it in
feel
the second.
what I was doing.
Yeah, right.
I love what I do, so I just do with everything I have.
Neat. Now, so getting back here, the only person that would have had access is Mike Young or yourself to that place.
Yeah.
Now, tonight you were asked to go down there and meet our constables at
Yes.
the garage, and that's because they were looking for a missing person.
Yeah.
His whole stance changed.
And you were.
Because now we're talking about like something relevant.
Right.
In St. Elmer, which is quite a distance from this, and yet you readily responded down to help the police, and we certainly appreciate that. Now, you arrived at the garage and you noted something immediately on your arrival when you went up to the door to show the police the garage.
Yeah.
And what was that?
Well, the first thing that happened, I drove in, I parked in the back where I usually parked. I actually, the constable was calling me.
Irrelevant
about 3 hours to
information.
get there.
Yeah.
And talked to him and said, yeah, so like, where are you? And he was in the back, so I went to meet him. And well, 1 second, I'm not my wife. She's let me keep her.
Oh,
He's so annoying. Like sitting, like if I were getting paid hourly what this detective is, I would gladly sit through 40 hours of this shit.
anyway,
I can
yeah,
barely
so
get through it recreationally.
I get into the back, and I'm like, okay, well, let's go check it out. So I get to the actual gate, side gate there, and they mentioned that it had been blocked off somehow. I didn't know what that was about. I opened it, there was nothing there. So they said, okay, well,
Yeah.
it's not. It was a little odd, but went down the side of the garage, came back around, looked at the door itself, and the first thing that I noticed upon looking a little closer at it, because the light wasn't that great, but I could see what was going on, the padlock didn't look familiar to me. And I was the one that.
He did that intentionally. They'll go all into it. And I, like, on what fucking planet does that seem like? On what did he put? Like, what were the 2 and 2 that he put together to be like, yeah, if I put a different padlock on it than I said I put on it, then what? What is the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow? But here he is being like, yeah, it was a completely different fucking padlock on the outside of the thing. Spoiler alert, there's a deadbolt that sort of shuts down the whole fucking padlock thing. Whoops, Mark. Fucking
a
idiot.
latch on the door, and I had a padlock previously. It wasn't the same one. The one that I had was like the silver on the outside, like a black plastic dial in the center.
Classic
and
master
this one
lock.
was just all metal.
Yeah.
So
so you noticed a different padlock
yeah,
and that on the door.
And that was
Right.
significant
Now,
how,
what other
Mark?
locks are there on that door? Can you describe?
there's also a deadbolt,
The deadbolt?
Yep.
And-
pretty standard lock.
Yeah.
Standard.
And is there another type of lock or handle or?
No, just the doorknob, but I don't think the doorknob locks. I've never tried it, but I don't think it does.
So regular doorknob, deadbolt, and then a padlock.
He's covering
Okay,
his
the
jewels.
padlock was the,
Oh, yeah. Good point. I assume somebody
Jill
pointed that
said
out.
that.
Yeah, Jill pointed that out. Yeah. A defensive position. Now that he is going to be attacked, his, from his point, he is now going to be on the offensive. A lot of people will cup the jewels as a defensive posture, like as an evolutionary response. Some people will close off their legs or whatever. Somehow, some way, they'll block off the crotch. You can see there goes Mark. He doesn't want this detective kicking him.
padlock through, it was through a latch of some sort. Yeah, that would hold the door, close the lock. And that was the same, but the lock itself was different.
Correct.
Now, okay, you said that you were there last weekend of September, and that was the only time you were shooting there?
Yeah, that was the only time we had a full crew and cast and.
Okay.
See, as soon as he starts talking about the movies,
That's the last
slides out like a
weekend of
slug.
Yeah.
And now we're up to the 19th of October here. So that's just about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you were filming through the weekend, I think. Yeah. And we're in the weekend now, so. So just about 3 weeks since and that's the only filming that you've done. Have you been back there since that filming?
Yeah, a couple times.
To commit a murder,
When was that?
drop off some cleaning supplies. I mean, just the second
I
one.
went back. I don't
Met a
remember the exact date,
guy.
but I went back one time because we had like a table saw, a bunch of tools that were there,
Yeah.
and my dad stores that stuff in his garage. So I told him, you know what, come meet me. We'll load it up and get rid of it. So went over there and met him after work one day, and he loaded that stuff up and took it home. The next.
Real quick, he's discussing the murder tools he essentially used. And everybody, I don't know, obviously murderers aren't studying true crime, so everybody thinks they can do this. But I think he tried to use a burn barrel on John Altinger. And obviously the human body is like 80% water, so it never works. So, but here's the thing, not having ever burned a body, how long did they try is my question. Because if you maybe you stay up all night and really pull, day and a half or something, are they just not committed is what I'm getting at? It's a stupid idea, but would it be smarter if they just doubled down and stayed till the end? Or is it just impossible?
The thing is, like, it's my understanding, like, even when you burn a body, there's still parts of it that don't burn.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're like
So,
the bones and
yeah,
stuff. And
So
yeah.
you're still going to be behind the 8 ball. Like, you're going to have to deal with more than ash.
Yeah, I think... No, yeah, because people are stupid. I think in the movies... Because in the movies, every time you see a period piece... And I remember seeing this in like a dozen movies growing up. Like, some main character dies, and they show like a sheeted, wrapped figure on top of a bunch of logs. And they go, farewell, my friend. And you just go, oh, well, he burns up.
Right.
In reality, in the morning, he's still there like, just crispy. Because it doesn't get hot enough.
It's crispy. Jill says, you have to burn at such a ridiculous high heat in the
Right.
first place.
Yeah.
And she said, the detective could convince me to reveal all my secrets with that calm, trusting voice. See,
Yeah.
I don't find him,
I definitely get dad vibes. Like,
I don't know.
his style, I feel, is mostly intentional. Even the drawn out, like it's very. I feel like he's sort of channeling Alan Thicke a little bit, fellow Canadian.
yeah, yeah.
But that sort of Canadian dad, like everything's okay, and like where's the body, that sort of thing. I like him. He's one of my favorites.
Was when I was taking delivery of a steel drum using this garbage can.
The burn
I
barrel.
had some issues with them in terms of delivering it. The company kept missing the day or saying that they were going to be there at a certain time and weren't. And so I was just like frustrated. I called them and said, okay, well, call me like an hour before you get there. We'll meet. So they did. We went to the location, dropped the drum off. So that was that part. And then last Friday
That's right.
was when I went there to just clean everything up, get the basic garbage out of there and stuff like that. There was still like a box of bottles
Basic
and stuff like
garbage.
that. Things that were in there previous to me renting
Boxes
the
of body parts, hands, feet, that sort of stuff.
place. But just getting some stuff out of there.
When you say last
Nobodies.
time, you mean the one just passed? And I mean, we're not.
I wonder. I've never heard this floated before, but I wonder, since he was shooting a suspense thriller there, that like maybe they would the cops would just take for granted that all the red that they found was coincidentally just blood from the picture. Like, I don't know if he was so stupid that he was hoping for just general gross incompetence. Because like before the days of DNA, I could totally see that shit happening. Like if this was the 80s, like you say, oh yeah, I'm shooting a horror flick,
Yeah,
and whether
pig's
you are or
blood.
not, like set up a what you call it, or even because he talks about the blood they use, this corn syrup that just looks like blood, and we're that no longer can do that because they put a Q-tip on it and they go, this is fucking human. They don't sell that shit at the spirit store.
Right,
Oh,
Jill.
so
The
they
screaming
won't.
was from the actors.
Yeah,
No, it was a week ago.
but that happens sometimes.
So,
Trying to film a slasher and the cops show up.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
12.
12.
Wait, no, today today's the 19th, today's Sunday, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the Friday before this Friday.
So probably.
Guilty people love to bullshit about calendars.
What day is this? Where are we?
Like,
Yeah,
and
I'll let you do it.
Are you
I
a
don't
cop?
have calendar.
can I come over?
Do you want to watch my video?
Yeah, 10th. That's what it was.
It'd be funny if you like took out a thumb
So
drive
why
and was
did
like,
they have
"Here's
to
a
go down
copy
there
of
and
my
clean the
recent
place
film."
up?
Oh, this is
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, that was a
That's the
flip
last time you were
out.
there.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah. JK.
yeah. See, that's the thing. I don't know if like
No,
this is
that's
that
when
slightly
you last saw your
stupid grace period where he's like just dumb enough to be like, "What's DNA?" But like, really, like, I feel like that popped in the cultural zeitgeist like early.
Oh yeah, we're way past that.
But on the other hand, I've seen interrogations where like there are people who do not grasp the concept, and there are some people who only think that you produce DNA in your spit and hair. They'll go, "Oh, I didn't," and then they'll try and get by on that. They go, "Well, I didn't spit on anybody," so they think that they'll skate. There's hair and shit. It's everywhere. It's your entire body.
Kale says, "Do you like movies about gladiators? As long as they have painted on abs," says Jill. True.
Also issues with remembering tasks.
Ever seen a grown
or
man
live on
naked, Jimmy?
lists. Try to formulate lists. As long as I have a list and I can check things off as I'm doing them, I'm okay.
That's
But,
bullshit.
I feel you,
so
Mark. I
need
need a
stay
to-do
organized,
list all the
I'm a
time.
procrastinator, stuff like that. So I
Shoot
think I did drop off.
Kill person.
and I-
Check.
Like, here's the thing.
Take out basic garbage.
They'll do this bullshit too. Like, list. I always live on a list. I've heard not only from Mark. I've heard it from multiple suspects. Like, I need to see my phone because I write everything down. Federico Gondola. He's like, I need to see my text stream to recreate the timeline. Bitch, you have a memory. Like, I remember things that happen sequentially,
I'm so scared
basically.
now because I tell people all the time, if it's not in my calendar, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time.
My
and I've
memory
never
is
murdered
shit.
anyone.
But then
Yeah.
you would be able to pull up your
Yeah.
calendar. He is referring to imaginary lists. Like pulling out your phone and being like, here's what happened more than likely because it was in my calendar and you can corroborate it. He's saying, I live on lists and doing this in the air, and the thing behind his hand is nothing. You can't be like, here, I lived on this list.
This
Take
one.
it, detective.
Here it is.
And that's like that giant burrito from that meme, right? What the fuck? But, he doesn't have any paper. And then I got a flip phone. What's he going to do? Take a note?
Yeah.
One letter at a time going through each of the four possible? Pfft, doubtful. He's a murderer.
Allegedly.
No, he
We were
wasn't
dropping
convicted.
off some cleaning materials.
It's one of the ones where we don't have to
The
say
next
allegedly.
time we were going to go in there. his
Well, we
mind
said it
actually
anyway, just in
was
case.
To pitch this thing and get it into a TV series or a movie. And the place is so inexpensive to rent. I figured, for future episodes, that'd be great to have. So, yeah.
What does it cost?
$175 a month.
How much?
It's not bad.
$175 a month.
Yeah.
$175 a month.
Canadian
Canadian.
dollars?
Yeah.
Canadian. So here's the thing.
That's like 12 cents.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people break this down and say that is either a wildly exorbitant amount or fine or cheap. I don't know.
It's a garage in 2008, October 2008. Like,
Cold?
Wouldn't that have been the
It's a big garage that isn't heated but has power, and it's $175 a month, and you're literally within spitting distance of the people who live in the house.
How long did he have this for? How long was he shooting this suspense thriller for in a garage?
Like they said it earlier. He got
like, a
the
couple months?
garage in September, and it's now October, so it's been very short.
They should charge him weekly.
But
Shoot a
But there's so
film.
much dead time in between, and he's.
well, and that's the thing. He says they used
And
it
murder
once.
people.
Yeah.
And garbage.
And garbage. He's had to use it once legitimately and 2 or 3 times for his extracurriculars. So, he's only in, what is that, 350,
I
325?
was looking at prices of $225, $250 for something similar. So I thought, well, that's not bad. It's plenty of space. It has power, so we can run all of our cameras and lights and everything.
It's free real estate.
Last time we were there,
It's
we
$175 tax.
Like, renting just really bad lighting kits that would burn out bulbs all the time and stuff like that. But we never had any issues with the breakers or the power in that place. Everything worked fine. So,
Well, that's all right.
and it's a great workshop too. It's better than trying to borrow other people's places to do stuff.
Yeah.
We got saws
So,
there,
Yeah.
basic
So
garbage.
you're saying that you've worked sometimes full-time and then geared yourself for this. Where do you work when you're working full-time?
I was working basically corporate sales jobs for the most part. It's
So that's the thing. He hasn't had a job in a while.
When I do work full time and I work for someone else and try to find something that I'll enjoy, usually technology related. Like I work for TELUS. selling,
But this is
wireless
his
gear,
industry.
and that was fun.
Yeah.
He's a
So that
major
stuff.
player in the
But,
industry.
Yeah, something where I can have like a bit of a passion for that and actually feel like what I'm contributing is what I'm getting out of it. So usually why I work on commission.
How old is he
I feel
at
like
this
the more
time?
work I put in, the more
30
I feel what I
something?
get out of it. And that's,
I heard he's married, right? Because he was
Yeah.
saying about his
Kinda like
wife.
I'm a
He was a
really
couple
good
years
player for it.
older than me. So, 08?
Yeah, I think he was like 32 here.
Yeah,
Dang.
29.
He's got a daughter, and like that's the thing. Like he's got the daughter and the wife at home, and the wife is supporting his ass because he's off doing this stupid
Murdering people.
murdering people and shooting this dumbass suspense thriller that like goes unnamed. Like what the fuck? Like it was just for the killing. Like there's no like what the fuck? It's so.
So was his crew not real?
No, his crew was real. And I guess they were shooting something there, but it was mostly to be like a Dexter-style serial killer because, and here's the thing, like, I think his memoir or whatever you want to call it is available out there on the internet somewhere.
What?
Yeah, because it leaked. I mean, obviously. So you can read it, and it's basically every gory detail and how he thought he was so fucking smart and how, like, he cheated on his wife and she was, like, basically a cow mentally and all this other, like, he's such a piece of shit. And here he is sitting here being like, yeah, I just want to find something to follow my passion. Like, what the fuck? Dude's like fucking a scumbag through and through, sitting here being like, yeah, bro, Hollywood, here I come.
Yeah, Jill says a loser sales guy with connections to LA filmmakers. Sure.
Yeah, I sometimes
Right.
do telemarketing full time, but then I have a conflict of personality with my
My
boss.
passion.
To do that kind of thing if I need to be working or paying bills and that kind of thing. I'm a little bit more discerning when it comes to that stuff. I try not to get involved in something that I'm only going to be in for a short period of time. Jobs in the last couple of years that anything where I had to leave or anything like that, it was always just because there wasn't the right fit. And we usually find that out.
It's not a therapist, Mark.
Yeah.
No one cares.
That type of thing. When was the last time you worked at a job like that?
Last time was the end of May.
So since then, you've been working to get in your production goal?
Yeah.
Okay. And your
Unemployed for
wife-
several
and
months with a
and,
wife and daughter.
uh,
Classic.
your wife went
Yeah.
on maternity leave.
Correct.
Okay, so you've got some income there
Mhm.
as a supplement, and where do you get the money from for the production and for the rental and all that sort of stuff?
Oh, God.
It's investors.
Investors?
Yeah, what I basically do is sell equity in the film. So if I have a budget worked out.
So if you
then
ever want to learn how to
so much money
finance a
to
film,
make
you're
the
about to
movie.
learn.
What they do is put that money
Yay.
forward into the film in exchange for percentage of ownership of the project.
Yeah.
So usually we split it 50-50. The production company, that's me making the movie, gets half of ownership of the movie, and the investors putting up the money get the other half.
Okay.
So then once it gets
Like he's
distributed,
using hand like gestures and shit, like explaining basic math to a seasoned detective. And he feels totally confident in doing this.
and then I
Well,
Also,
you
here's
see,
the
he doesn't get it.
Here's the thing, officer. Now, fractions. It blows your mind, right? And percentages. Okay, so I make a movie, a moving picture. Woo! I feel like he's going to fucking jingle keys in front of his face in a second. Like, give me a break. I realize that you want to stroke your ego, but, like,
I mean, that's all this is. Like, he's just. He knows why he's there, but he's just like painting another picture, like a distraction. Like, yeah, so what? I murdered someone. Let's talk about my movie.
Yeah.
here's the thing, though. Like, that concept is like a core human principle, because who hasn't at least one time in their life, more than likely as a child, tried your hardest to make someone look at the opposite direction of where you wanted them to?
Right.
It was very obvious where they needed to look based on your behavior. So as you grow up and become an adult, somehow you lose that. And here is Mark Twitchell pointing in every which way but loose, and he's the one standing on the body.
Yep.
But it's something we just lose as an adult because we feel like, or at least narcissists and people who get comfortable with lying, we're like, oh, no problem. I'll just sing and dance my way out of this. And like, guys, like, we got a missing person. He said missing person already. Like, shit is serious. And he's like, well, to get funding for a film, what?
We need investors. And Jill says, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. We have a missing human being. How did you get money for your movie, Mark?
She
Well, in
says,
the
imagine
meantime,
working with this
you know,
guy.
stuff
He
like
is
that
that
takes
guy.
years.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So in the meantime, I'm living off of about
Right turn, Clyde.
about 10% of whatever the project is.
Oh, pretty much, I'm industry
And,
bound.
Who do you have for investors on this film?
I need my list.
Ones that are involved in day players so far. My brother-in-law, Travis. I got a guy named John Consent who has his own chartered accounting company.
He's my actual brother.
He's a member of the Venture Alberta group, which is a big group of guys who just move money around and invest.
It's like a group my grandma's in, investment-wise.
The Knitting Club.
Going to, actually it was through the internet, found them online, submitted my
Went to
material.
Craigslist looking for supporters, found $100.
Has deal screening, let's go and present this to like full groups of investors in Edmonton and Calgary. And so I'd make my pitch about the film. And they put some interest in with it. The deal structure underwent a couple of changes throughout the time that it was floating around within their circle.
Don't care.
And then
Yeah, imagine, like, they know Mark, they know that John is probably dead, but imagine being in a situation where, like, there's just an active missing person, where, like, there were signs that they were just active, and so it's possible they're still alive, and running into this asshole,
Right.
like,
10% of our budget.
at this point, Mark's been off the grid, not Mark, god damn it, Johnny Altinger has been off the grid so long that his friends have broken into his house to confirm that he did not go to Puerto Rico, whatever fucking dumb shit story this asswipe told all of his friends and family via his phone.
Huh.
And like he broke into his house and like used his computer and shit. And so his cover story was like, hey, I found this great girl on Plenty of Fish and I'm moving with her to the Caribbean essentially. Smell you later, friends and family. And they're like, what the fuck? And meanwhile, he's like plain and boring as white bread. And like, yeah, of course. And here's the thing. We don't get to it in this interview, but they find his car, which was a red Mazda 6 stick shift. And Mark here can't drive a stick shift. So he's like, well, why do you have this fucking car that's also the missing dude's? He goes, well, here's the story. Dude comes up to me and says, I'm going to the Caribbean with a rich, countess or whatever, and I need to get rid of this car. How much do you have in your pocket? Mark says, I have $40. Johnny says, sold. And that's why Mark Twitchell has a stick shift Mazda 6 red that used to belong to Johnny Altinger that he can't drive because he doesn't know how to drive stick. $40.
Nice.
Wow.
Better than the lock story, which we haven't even gotten to.
Short term, in order to get
It's a
the
different
full
Deadpool.
one
A different.
opened.
Like,
Have
so
one.
the detective shuts him down
And
so
then
good
when it
later.
comes through, when we get our full budget, those guys get paid back right away.
I mean, in between all these movie talk
We
bits.
don't
Right.
miss the money because it comes back to us in the form of an Alberta Film Fund government grant.
Who has? So you have got these investors, and now you've already got this government grant that's come through.
The grant
There it
is
is.
already. We were prime candidate because
Canadian
the Alberta
Arts
Film Fund,
Grant.
They really like Albertan projects, Albertan talent in front and off the screen. They're really, they get involved with that kind of
Open
stuff. And I
back
actually know a guy who has a business
Look at those
degree
white
and
socks.
is really good at writing grant proposals and getting approved
With his
for
New
them.
Balance.
Really good
Yeah.
track
I
record.
didn't
He's
think
been
that the
writing
early
for
2000s had like a vibe, but he's definitely oozes 2008.
He's very
Yeah.
funny legs out in the
And I can't even point my finger as to why.
goes to show them that, yeah, we're keeping
The
it all in
sneakers.
province.
Like being just a white bread asshole in 2008 was mighty popular, I guess, because I probably looked like that in
We're looking really
2008.
good on that front. It's just
Yeah,
a
I
matter
could
of
almost
showing them
guarantee I
that
look
we're
like that.
To get some
make
pictures.
the movie and get it distributed, and then they say, okay, we'll reimburse you for up to 20% of everything you spend inside.
Oh my god, he's still talking about
which for us
budget.
is
Yeah.
a little over 400,000.
I god damn it. There's so
400,000
yeah. He get like whatever 3 million for his shitty movie.
Yeah.
Put it in the bank.
for real?
Yeah.
$3.5
pay them
million, I
back
think
right
he said.
away.
And like-
It's just blowing steam.
And that got made. No, it's crazy.
A lot of homework, a lot of
Jesus
research
Christ.
done, but it's a
can't even get a
beautiful
small
infrastructure,
business
works for
loan.
everybody. I'm
just wanna
only
make
giving up
some
10% more ownership than I would have been getting out there on my own with no back-end support that way.
Yeah.
So the fact that I can get this done a lot faster and a lot easier.
In so many of these interrogations, they have two cameras that basically one's on the detective and one's on the suspect. Like the ones that are like this are such a bummer that has the one because it's always behind the detective, and I want to see the look on his face and see what
The
he's
utter boredom.
yeah, like or like if he's got that dad look where he's like interested in like his son brings home a dirt bike, right? And he's talking about the horsepower and the chain and the torque and shit, and he's like, oh really? And like he's just like that fatherly, like, oh whoa, or is he just like "Nyeh," and like Bell's palsy on
Drool.
half? Yeah. And he's just ignoring all the signs because obviously, why wouldn't he?
By using somebody else's credit rating, why not? You know what? That's fine. It's a matter of kind of time versus ownership. I'm not going to sit on this.
I'm
for
sure he
5
used
years
all
waiting for
$3.5 million on that
what I
film,
mean?
says
Yeah.
Jill.
There's a goal.
Mhm.
On the basic
Yeah,
garbage.
So, and everybody
Day
helping
players.
us out. It's so great. Like
Yeah.
I've got so many people who have donated countless hours of time and energy and resources
Countless
to that.
Time,
that,
energy,
and they've done it
resources,
for
all those
free, and
things.
I want to pay them back. I want to give them a nice, cushy, budgeted project to come in on and work on and get paid on. Get career experience, actually get paid for doing what they were doing before.
Okay, this is the emergence of Mark Twitchell's annoying, nervous laugh, where he'll, like, as obviously I'm sure he feels that we're coming back to the garage here pretty quick, like, and it's ramping him up. So he'll do this annoying laugh at literally nothing funny, but it's like this, like it's almost a cry of mirth.
Only a little bit less because instead of having one person do 8 jobs on a no-budget indie, each person can focus on their one thing on the feature.
Do you
and
know what
it's
indie
like-
is, detective? Let me tell you.
Independent and a Jones.
It's interesting how that all comes together.
Okay, you started on this stuff. I can go for hours. Yeah.
Now,
Now the garage.
so back again, so we're talking about back at the garage, and you're saying
Boom, look at it.
Crotch.
Yeah.
that the 10th was the last time that you were at the garage.
Yeah.
And you can say that absolutely for sure.
No,
This is also before like cell phone pinging was where it is today too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could do it, but it wasn't like widely known.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
And also you only do it when you were making a call.
Now, when's your next plan to shoot there?
Oh, it's not decided yet.
Not decided yet.
It's still up in the
After
air.
it's
there's
become
no-
the basic garbage.
Plan for that
Just
garage.
indefinitely renting a space,
You live in St.
bringing
Albans.
in and taking out basic garbage.
You'd be concerned about dropping off a
The
few cleaning supplies there.
At the
at the
garage.
When nobody else is there. Sometime between that weekend and it had to be done right away.
Well, not necessarily right away. The way that I do it again, it's on a list. So
Here's the thing. Keep in mind, look at the corner there. It says October. This happened last month. It's less than 30 days from all this going down. And he's like, Stephanie Lazarusing this shit with no reason to. It hasn't been a million years. Like they weren't best friends in college. This was like fucking 30 days ago. And he's like, oh boy, my memory's fading and my lists have disappeared into the ether. Like, where are we?
I would have had like a long list of line items of stuff that I'm getting done
Oh,
there.
now it's on the table. See,
It just
detective?
happened to be one.
It's a longer list.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's like this and sometimes like this. You know what I mean?
Now, what sort of cleaning supplies would you have at that place?
Bleach.
Paper towels, stain cleaner, you do anything that's involving
Fake
like
blood.
suspense thrillers or anything like that, and you want to have something that looks like blood on the screen, you use this
I don't know what his hand motion is when he does that.
Food coloring in it.
Blood on the
Blood.
screen.
It looks really good
Blood.
on camera, and it has the right consistency.
Oh, he's a vampire.
Sticky as hell. Gets everywhere.
Let me check my
it's a
notebook.
nightmare. And last time, got all over the chair, got all over the floor. It's like,
It was
ridiculous.
really a hack
So,
job that I
and,
did on this
that was
guy.
really my
Yeah.
favorite.
I mean,
And
fake
everybody's
blood.
grabbing stuff and moving it over, and every time they do, they rub up against it and get all their clothes and it's sticky and annoying. So
So what happens
Like
when they
these are
struggle.
just minor workplace complaints that you would talk about on break, not in a fucking
The thing
police
is,
station.
like the stature and demeanor he has is like a coffee shop conversation.
Yeah.
Like this is not interrogation. This is not detective. He's pitching.
Yeah.
This is like, yeah, I shot a $3 million film. Like, oh yeah, things get super sticky and annoying. Like you would know if you made a film,
Right.
but
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this, because it's like I told you, it's not. This is the where he walks himself into like, hey, I'm guilty as fuck, and that's why our detective is like really sinking into this character and letting him go, because I get it now, like functionally, because the more they say, the more they can use, because they can use whatever they like. It's in the fucking Miranda rights.
not in Canada.
They have a different thing, but it's basically the same thing. But, okay, so if you didn't know this, there's a funny quirk that they have. The detectives can still interrogate you as long as you have spoken to a lawyer. They don't have to be there. You just have to be allowed to talk to one, and then they can shove your ass right back into that room and interrogate you some more. Which is, I think... I don't know. I'm of two minds about it sometimes. I like it because we got a lot of footage out of it. But, it does feel kind of shitty if you're falsely accused of something.
Right. Jill says the usual stuff: machetes, saws, gloves, fake blood,
shot
plastic,
was
ropes,
running a
masks.
sword
You know,
through
Taser,
the guy who was sitting in
fake
the
gun.
chair.
Yeah.
And so the way we did it is we just had like the actor sitting.
He
in the
bought a
chair, and the
wild
other
game
actor
gutting
pretending
kit,
to
I
hold the
believe.
sword
Yeah.
for
Nice.
him, and then we go back, lock the camera off. It hasn't moved. Shoot this.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, he talks about in SK's Confessions about like, because he thought himself so smart. He went to Sportsman's Warehouse and bought one of those like deer processing kits. Like obviously they probably sell 1 billion of them a year because all these dudes go out hunting and shit. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so fucking clever. I'll use it on a human." And like he was probably like, "Oh yeah, I'm so smart." But it's like obviously dipshit. But it is in his manuscript. Like I feel like that whatever. It's not even very long, but it's however many pages of him trying to snap his own spine, trying to suck himself off.
Blade through it, so it comes out with the corn syrup on there dripping.
Yeah.
Then they have to digitally take that, put it onto our original shot, so it looks like it's
See, it's
coming
not
through
funny,
the
Mark. Why are you
diagram.
laughing?
And it's this complex setup, and we spent like 2-3 hours on that one thing.
It's so
We hadn't
complex, you
actually
wouldn't get
tested
it.
before or set it up prior.
Yeah.
So, I
We
mean,
had to
you
set
kinda
up a
learn trial
camera.
by
We
fire
took
to
some
figure out
footage
as you're going along, but
and then took some
it's
more
really good.
footage.
And I think it'll look good once it's all done.
Fucking.
So,
Sounds kind of unique.
yeah, but it's a huge mess too. Like again, you're dripping stuff everywhere. You try to kind of curb it as much as you can, but it happens. You're walking back and forth.
The problems of the fluid dynamics detective. You're a smart guy.
So you were doing quite a bit of that sort of stuff in the garage,
Yeah.
that kind of shooting.
Garage.
where there was,
In
like,
the
blood
garage.
action and, So what other supplies would you have there that would be needed for that kind of thing?
So here's another thing that is great. Obviously, he's been basically telling the detective every time he asks, "What's in your murder kit?"
Yeah.
And so we've already been over the power tools, which he did use a lot of the stuff that, like the burn barrel, he brought in and talked about. So now, obviously, there's going to be a whole bunch of other shit. And why not just say it? Because again, without that DNA, it might be just a workable thing to shoot a horror movie where you're going to kill someone, but it's 2008. Like shit was popping in like the late 90s. Like DNA was like, that was the thing that even like my grandmother was like, "Have you heard about the thing DNA?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have." Like everybody. 2008.
Well, it depends what you mean by supplies, because there's supplies and props and a lot of other stuff. A lot of that stuff that's in the garage was there when I rented it. Stuff that I got just for the shoot.
This will be interesting.
There was like this kit full of knives that we were gonna do. Where we were gonna do like a reveal shot, show the guy like
This is
opens
kill
his
kit.
kit, it looks all menacing and everything. Kind of put that into a montage. What else? Like the usual duct tape for the guy sitting in the chair, duct taping him up.
Or to a table.
There's that stuff. The sword, obviously. There's two swords. One that like looks over
Sword?
Mhm.
the camera, and then the
Okay.
other
Couple of swords.
one,
Huh.
it's
Every
more
nerd has to have a fucking
things
sword
just
collection.
We used to like dump all the syrup on and everything.
Yeah.
Some clothes, prop, mask, stuff like
Bam. So that's another thing. You can look it up, and it's in the thumbnail of this video. He had a fucking Jason mask, like one of these essentially, but like with the mouth part cut out. You can look it up. It's like golden black. It's like the fucking stupidest looking mask. Like it's like one of Bible Man's villains. It is the dumbest ass looking thing, and I'm sure he was like, "Oh yeah," because like the first guy got to see it, and he got to run off. So but like. Fucking, he's wearing like, you're gonna kill the dude. What's up with the mask? Right?
Well, I mean, the first guy got away.
Right.
True.
So, I mean,
But here's the thing. If you're a narcissist like Mark and you know that your like skills are beyond reproach and you're just gonna take this guy out, like a lamb to the slaughter, like that mask is just for you. Like all of this was just like, that's the thing. It's not like he was even he doesn't even come across as like bloodthirsty or ultra violent or anything. This was just like something so disconnected. It was like the ultimate power trip of him being able to dick around with someone.
could this be like a form of like method acting? For him?
Totally. I think so.
Yeah.
Because again, he was addicted, not addicted, but like a super fan of Dexter. So if you take, that sort of concept plus
And he's like,
and
I have to-
insanely
in order to direct the film, I have to know what it is to be in the
Right.
film. So,
because that's half of it too, which I'm sure he was. That's why it leads me toward my theory of, since you're shooting something with a lot of fake blood, it was like a perfect cover story because Dexter is a crime scene investigator. So perfect, obviously. So, but it's like the stupidest way to do it because there's no DNA and fake blood, moron.
Do you think he's the kind of person that, like, while he's dismembering people, like, whistles and stuff?
Well, here's the thing. Yes, because at one point when he
and
was
furiously masturbates.
unconfirmed
DNA.
there, but I know at one point in his manifesto, he picks up his head and uses a comedy voice when it was detached from his
Ew.
body.
What?
Yeah. Like he picked up Johnny's head and was like doing a ventriloquist act to himself and laughing, according to his manuscript. Cannot confirm.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. That is alleged. I don't know.
Jill says, for someone who fancies himself a maniacal genius, he is pathetic and weird.
Right? But that they always are. Everybody who gets labeled a genius in this context is like fucking stupid. Everybody who's been labeled a genius killer, it turns out they were completely inept.
Kayla wants to know what he whistles while he does it.
Oh, this fucking tool, like something by Nickelback. It's 2008. He's fucking rocking Nickelback out the
And he's
ass.
Canadian.
And he's Canadian.
Whistle while we work, says Jill.
That's a close second.
Now, it's, me, I'm just thinking about this. I mean, it's kind of odd that you're filming
Off the
that
top of
kind
my head
scene.
here, are you a murderer?
And we end up going to that garage
Garage?
because of a missing person
Yeah.
who supposedly went there.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
while we're
It
here.
was freaky too, and as soon as they called me on the phone,
Yeah, freaky.
Maxwell called me and said,
It's been sitting here for half an hour. Freaky.
This weird chill, because
Because I'm caught.
This doesn't sit right. So when
When you guys called me literally right after I murdered the guy, I was like, eek.
what we do and what our schedule is like and stuff like that. And if we have a shooting schedule, usually there's a bunch of people in and out of there to
No, you
prep.
don't.
Yeah, you don't. You literally just said you
And then
don't.
we shoot something there.
You're
and
renting a
then that's it.
garage
We're
for no
renting out
reason.
Something else.
Legally.
So fixed activity.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
So who would have access to it to get things set up?
It'd be me and anybody else that had a key. So basically, for this instance, it was me, Mike, and Jay.
Jay.
Yeah.
Who's
But
Jay?
roughly 3
You
people
mentioned
could have
Mike
committed this
before.
murder, huh?
Jay,
But also, this is the
Jason
first time he's
Howardson?
brought up Jay.
Jason Howardson.
Yeah.
How do you spell
Good
his
dude.
last name?
Solid dude.
W
Would never murder someone.
S-O-N,
Okay, Jason Howardson. How old's Jason?
28.
No, you know him and Mike from before?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody I know's age. Is
I
that
was
just
just
me?
thinking that.
Like if somebody asked me anybody's age, like if you asked my boss, any of my friends' ages, I would have to answer I don't know.
I think he's also got his own frame of reference. So, like, if they all went to high school together, they're all probably roughly the same age. Like, if they grew up together, if they went to college together.
That's quick math though, because if he's 32 here,
maybe, but like even friends my own age, like people I went to high school with, whether we're an age or rather a year up or down, still I don't know.
Jill
It's
doesn't
just
even
something-
know her age.
Say what?
Jill doesn't even know her own age.
I mean,
I have
it's,
to think twice.
I
easy to
barely knew
forget.
mine until a
Yeah.
few days ago.
it's pretty annoying when your birthday pops up and you find out you're older than you thought you were.
Yeah.
That's a weird experience.
How long?
Couple years.
Couple of years?
I thought I was
Oh,
33 this
Mike?
year.
I think Mike's turning 30.
30 years.
30 years.
So they would have had access, but the only one that had a key was Mike.
Well, passes back and forth between them.
And these two would maybe pass it back and forth.
Don't touch my paper,
I've
please.
been trying to.
My list.
This is my list.
So we have a very small pool of what we call suspects, Mark.
I'm trying to figure out a time to meet to do that, and also to.
At
get
this age,
feedback
it's
on
whatever
stuff
age,
like that.
says Jill.
And he said, you know, hey, if you're around the south sometimes, Saskatchewan Drive, drop by, but he always like lets me know basically an hour before the timing would be.
So
and
I
it's
know
too
not to
short a
murder
notice.
anyone.
So we've missed each other up until now.
Can't come by. Murdering a dude.
When was that?
Taking out basic garbage.
Well, I mean, but we kept just back and forth and missing one another.
Were you and
Trying to get
Mike
together.
connected today?
No, but tried to. Not
Really
today.
tried to. Well, no, not today. Not today at all.
The
Last
guy
week.
operates entirely on text message. There's no actual calling and talking to him. So, like, you know, he'll text me and say, "I'm gonna be in St. Albert around this time. If you're gonna be there, I can drop by." And you know, I'll be like, "Well, no, it's no good. We're gonna be gone," something like that.
Busy killing
Yeah.
someone.
So, but the last time that I actually talked to him, I think it's the 12th. I was checking before because I've still got some of his incoming text messages.
I don't know
Weirds
what.
me out how often he looks at his phone.
Right? That's the thing. I don't know why he has to, like, this is a fucking, like,
He's not under arrest. He can look at his phone to quote unquote check
Just
something.
weird.
but he's like, seriously, it's a missing fucking persons case and he has zero
He's not
self-awareness.
missing.
Uh,
Mark knows where he's at.
right.
I mean,
He
yeah.
did.
Yeah, he's in a burn barrel somewhere. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like he's whatever. But the detectives to this day, like footage released from cases this year, detectives will still keep that shit on loud and check it all the time. So it's just reverse spots. But it is wildly annoying that he keeps doing that. And I don't like the look of his thigh either. Fucking hate that thing. It's a weird shape. It's like a
On the
chicken
15th,
drumstick.
You met with him?
No, just texted back and forth.
Just texted.
Never actually got back together. No.
Were you on the south side on the 15th?
That cough really unnerves me, especially after COVID. Like, you're in a 10 by 12 room, coughing in this man's face.
Yeah, I know. It's given the current climate, yeah. But remember, it's 2008. The
Right, they
COVID.
would have known
Yeah.
no different.
You get people were licking each other's eyes back in 2008.
Oh my
On the south side of
When did H1N1 come out?
It was either
It's like
then or the week
14?
before, I
Oh.
think.
12 or 14.
Something big, but I can't remember.
Yeah, people talked about swine flu like that was big shit.
Cleaning materials, like these sound like something kind of special. Where would you get that?
Oh, it's like a Home Depot or Canadian
Home
Tire.
Depot.
Walmart.
Yeah.
Well,
We either
it's just regular cleaning
Yeah. We don't need anything that crazy.
I love it because he waited until now to start dropping some casual swearing. And I love the way he does it. Slips in and he's like, "Oh, we're using very specialized cleaning." And, oh, this is casual cleaning shit. Like the complete, like, almost offensive, like, whatever, not offensive, kind of like asexual, but for offensive. What's that, like, not
Benign.
offensive, but like, not even not offensive. It's almost like endearing.
It's like PC swearing.
Yeah, he's like such a nice guy where he, like, shit, actually, when he says shit, you go, yeah, that makes me feel pretty good.
Just regs ass shit, like basic garbage.
Regular cleaning shit in the garage?
Pretty solid. Well, okay, well, I don't know, you're describing this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's just like usual stuff. We don't have anything special. The garage is a dirty place anyway. We have no intention of putting anything cool in there or anything like that.
Like a dead body.
So, yeah, we'll get the sticky stuff off or that kind of
The
thing.
sticky stuff.
Okay.
That's basically it. Something that it's not going to sit there and smell up the place.
What a weird thing to say. What cleaning chemical have you ever bought that you were afraid of smelling up the place? Nope, can't think of a single one.
So, now, you've been told that we're looking for a missing man. Okay.
Multiple times now.
Yeah, have you been told his name?
No.
Okay. The name is John
Okay.
Altinger. Altinger. Does that name ring a bell to you or mean anything to you?
No.
Never heard it before.
His last name sounds like Ring. Does that
Nobody
help,
you've
Mark?
been using as an actor, or that maybe Mike or Jason would have been in touch with?
No, I don't think so. I don't know if Mike or Jay know him, but nothing that in terms of casting or production crew or anything like that.
No,
No.
not a worker, not an employee you've heard about?
No.
No. Now, do you have any girls that are employed? Or that take part in anything, any of the setup or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a really great actress on this one that we worked with. She came to the condo set on the Friday. Came
Mark,
up from
we're
Red
talking
Deer.
about the garage.
Katrina,
But look, the condo.
okay, yeah.
And,
Isn't the garage.
That's the most recent.
Okay.
I got some Facebook buddies too that are all kind of like in the industry and back and forth and
Yeah, the industry.
love
There's
casting
murdering
calls and
people
things
back
like
in
that.
L.A.
Yeah.
Nobody that's crew.
Can I remind you that I go international now?
So, these Facebook buddies, would they have connected?
Well, the thing is, at this point, he's already been to America and flunked out of it.
Flunked out of America?
Well, not flunked out, but like he came here to basically mooch off a woman. Couldn't get a job for 10 months. He'll talk about it a little bit, but got divorced, moved back to Canada. I think the first one got wise to was bullshitting and was like, get the fuck out. And the second one wasn't as clever, so didn't see
And
it
now has a
coming,
kid and-
quote unquote.
With anybody like this, maybe that was just a single guy that maybe attracted him towards this sort of line of work or anything like that?
Maybe, I don't know. Not that I'm aware of, but possibly.
Okay. Okay, the indications we have, and we've got this through our investigations, and the address comes up, and the garage is described, and he actually says that he was there on that particular day. The particular day we're talking about is I think the 15th.
Yeah, his second one was also almost a complete fuck up.
Now, and I may be mistaken, I may be mixing a couple of things up, but I think the 15th. And that's the day you're indicating that you were probably down there putting supplies there.
Okay, yeah.
Same day this alleged murder happened.
Like on Wednesday
was like-
or something.
Yeah.
23 days ago.
And it was in and around the same sort of time frame that you were there.
Interesting.
You know, that he would have been there,
Okay,
Oh no.
like in the afternoon.
really?
Yeah. And
Really?
he was supposed to go there and meet a girl who described the address and told him how to get there. Now this is really met through, an internet site.
Okay.
Doesn't know her from before. So he, of course, lets friends know where he's going.
Right. Okay.
The cops in the background.
So whatever. But here's the thing, it's so crazy because instead of he wouldn't give either of his victims the address. Like he basically sent them MapQuest directions via email, because I don't know if he thought he would cover his tracks by having them not have to Google an address, but sidestepping the fact that they would then have the directions to the exact place in their email kind of cuts the legs off that. But it's just a weird thing that, like, yeah, he wouldn't give out the address, but sent an email as Jen, basically MapQuesting it. And, like, what the fuck?
Quick, check your notes.
It's as good as the fucking padlock in cover story wise, which we'll get to.
The way this video is lighted, it looks like the detective doesn't have anything in front of him to write on.
Yeah,
Right.
all blown out.
Last known place was there. Said he went there. Met a guy. The girl wasn't there.
Guy kind of looked like you, Mark.
With a
Met a
mask.
guy in the garage.
In the garage?
Apparently.
My God.
In the garage.
Okay.
Whew.
Now, can you tell me? What does it explain to you? Tell me what you're thinking.
Someone had a key.
It explains the foreign padlock.
Does it?
If he switched it out or something like that, that makes sense.
No.
Who switched it?
Whoever this guy is.
Well, he didn't switch anything. He went there and met somebody there. Yeah.
Okay, but that's what I mean. Like, whoever he met there,
Yeah.
because I don't know of anybody else that has access unless they, accessed it themselves, pretty much.
What the fuck does that mean, Mark? I don't know who else could have accessed it except for someone who accessed it themselves.
Why not just say broke in?
Because it's access. Because they didn't break in. Here's the thing. He's going to be like, well, the lock and this guy in the lock. That explains it. Aha, officer. Now we can crack this case together because of the lock. Here's the fucking...
Let me grab my camera.
Yeah, here's the fucking thing. And they'll get to it, but spoiler alert, the lock was new, but the deadbolt was fastened. Which, you need a key to lock it from the outside. That's the thing of a deadbolt. So to be like a mystery man showed up, got in without a key, got out, put a fresh padlock on, but was able to padlock, or not padlock, but deadbolt the thing. Like, hello fucking, like, leave the deadbolt open, Mark. Be like, oh, maybe someone picked it.
Yeah.
But no, he's like, nope, gotta be safe. I got tools in here. Lock. Fucking moron.
So your lock was totally
$40
gone.
Ryobi was worth it.
The latch was still there, but a different padlock's there. So anybody could have come along with a set of bolt cutters, cut yours off, put their own on, right?
Which would be a prank. At, like, out of context, like if you had a lock somewhere and you came back and it was a different lock, you'd be like, fuck. Like, pranksters got me. Or something. Like, that is not necessarily an indication of foul play, because that's like something a dickhead junior high student would do.
Right.
I mean, given they had a lock at hand, no one's going to go out and buy a $9 master lock and be like, yeah, gotcha, bitch. But, like, I can see someone, find one in a garage. Maybe there's a murder involved.
That still doesn't give them access to the garage because it's still a deadbolt.
Oh, yeah, the deadbolt, Mark.
Jill says, I love watching you lose your mind over the deadbolt.
This guy
Fuck.
indicates to his friends that he arrived, met a guy in there, the girl wasn't there, got a call from her later,
Met a guy.
was going back.
Got
to
Cool
bed.
Whip.
The boy.
That's where the trail goes cool on us.
Huh.
Well, I wasn't there because I was buying Home Depot to clean up a murder scene.
Yeah.
The guy who's missing
Yeah.
Yeah.
shows up to my garage.
My garage.
That I'm renting.
571240 at that.
Claims to have been in it.
My
Yeah, and
God.
talk to a guy.
Talked to another guy.
Yeah.
So now there's two of them.
Now there's two of them. My God.
And then he leaves.
Because the girl's not there.
Ah.
That he's supposedly.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And then
So, spoiler alert, yeah, this did happen. He showed up, Mark got cold feet, and he's like, oh, hey, yeah, she had to leave. She's super hot and wants to nail you, and she'll be right back. So, Johnny fucks off, and they text each other basically on the Plenty of Fish app, and he gets him to come back. Like, this close to having another fucking, but even with less, at least on the first guy, he zapped him with a taser and punched him a little bit. This guy came in and was like, who are you? And he's like, I don't know, and then left.
So the other guy, the guy that died, unfortunately, was also an idiot.
I kind of, because
very horny.
Well, that's the thing. There were a lot of problems here because he was look at a picture of him, nothing against him, but he was a straight up nerd looking dude. And you're going to meet a complete stranger you've not heard on the phone at a garage, not attached to a house. You were not supplied an address, but merely a set of.
The first red flag. You're giving me directions to a
garage.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Since I'm sure, I didn't read the emails, but I'm sure he didn't say that it was a garage, but probably said just pull around to the garage.
But
the thing is, if he would have come the first time, he knew it was a garage.
Right. And because I don't remember all the details, but I do believe they talked about how, or maybe even Mark said that she was in the house that was part of the semi-detached whatever or something. It was some crazy bullshit. But the fact, there were so many red flags, and it's like having a fish jump out of the ocean, fly across 1 or 2 states and land in a frying pan to somehow magically get whipped back out to the ocean to realize he liked it better back in the pan.
Jill says AOL hookups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
But I'm sorry, if I was going to meet a guy, okay, if I fell for whatever to go around back and meet somebody in their garage of their house, and it was a girl, opposite whatever, and it was like, oh yeah, why were you there? If I was going to see this person to hook up,
and that's the thing when you're, cat. I don't even think they called it catfishing back then, because it wasn't on the public zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But back then, even though it wasn't named, you could still grab a photo off of a search engine and be like, hey, look at me, I'm a hot chick, meet me. And, sorry about it, but a doofy dude is going to, be chomping at the bit if a solid 7 comes out of the woodwork, let alone the 9 that he pulled from whatever modeling website.
He talks to her on the phone.
I don't know that he talks to her on the phone or if he gets a message from her or which way that one works.
Okay, so he's kind of fishing here because he knows that there was no talk over a phone, but he's trying to see if that's what they got to try and wiggle his way out. Yeah, so he'd be like, hey, since they spoke, he obviously must have heard a woman's voice. But, nope, didn't.
Okay. He somehow ends up communicating with her and then comes
Goes back to the garage to meet her.
Okay.
Huh.
All right.
Now, does that sound
Weird.
like anything that you know about?
Softest question ever.
Does it sound like anything that could be related in any way to any movie sort of stuff you're doing, or?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm the producer. I pretty much control all the elements.
Yeah.
So if there was anything like that, if somebody needs to.
So basically what he just said there was those other 2 dudes in the suspect pool, you can eliminate them too. I literally control everything that goes in and out of that garage. It's this guy right here. I killed Johnny.
Jill says Twitch is acting like this is the scene in the movie where he outsmarts the detective.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm sure he's not feeling that now. I feel that strongly that he does not feel like he's got the upper hand still. But for the first, 35, 40 minutes, he probably did. We saw him splayed out. He only grabbed his genitals twice. So he wasn't scared. But for those few times, mostly he's just been sailing through this an easy interview at a job.
Yeah. Kayla goes, he's the producer. He controls all the elements, like the waterbending avatar.
He's the murder bender.
They'll let you know.
They'd ask or something like that. So yeah, no, I don't know anything about that.
No.
Huh? No.
Does the name Jen mean anything to you?
No, Constable Maxwell asked me about that too, and
Yes,
I don't
yeah.
know Jen or anything like that.
So the name Jen doesn't mean anything to you. You don't know a Jen. You don't have an actress named Jen.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying Jen
your
or
voice?
Jim?
Jen.
Yes.
Okay.
Jess.
So here's the thing. In his insufferable prologue for his fucking manuscript, it's basically like, yeah, the events are true, but the names have been changed to protect the guilty. And basically he changed like his wife's name Jess to Jen. So it was like one of a zillion strong ass tying elements that the character in SK Confessions happened to be the same name as the person who lured John to his death.
So weird.
Isn't it?
My.
Yeah, like he's such a fun. Like, I mean, obviously he's a Star Wars fan. He's creatively bankrupt.
Burn.
Is your wife involved in anything with the garage at all, or does she even know it exists? Or
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything about garages at all. Like,
Stay
keep
out
it that
of the
way.
As much as possible. She's
never seen one
from
in her
her own
life.
explanation too close to the material, because every time I talk about these things, it's like this, that.
She
this,
said
that,
the word
this, that,
insufferable
this,
with an earshot, so I get it.
I try to, pretty much kind of curb that whole thing. If she asks about it, I'll gladly tell her, but generally, she's not interested.
She doesn't, 'cause she
Until
knows.
something comes to fruition.
Yeah.
This whole time, for the past year, I've been working on financing my other movie. She'll ask me, like,
I mean, she's gullibly
you,
stupid, not brain dead.
is the money in the bank yet? Or something like that. Until it's in the bank, don't get excited, that sort of stuff, so.
yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, so she's, on mat leave and looking after the kid, and that's, pretty much the daily life. And then, when I get home, I take over.
Yeah.
Mat leave. Who calls it mat leave?
Okay.
Canadians.
And your
That's
parents, of course,
stupid.
are supportive of this.
Oh, yeah.
They live here in Edmonton.
Fantastic Planet says it's
We're
Lawrence
both together.
Kayla not knowing her house had a
They
garage.
live,
Oh, yeah.
31st Ave and 87th Street.
Lawrence Kayla.
Really very well. Have they always lived in that area, Mark? Yeah. Where'd you go to school?
Long time. I went to school in those little trio of schools. It's right around their house. It was St. Matthew's
Yeah.
for elementary, and then St. C's for junior high, and then O'Leary for high school.
Why the fuck would anyone care about where you went to elementary or junior high? I don't even know why people ask where you went to high school. Like, who gives a fuck?
I don't even remember my elementary school name.
But like, what are you gonna pull out class rings and like you got a Letterman jacket you want to show me? Like, who gives a fuck?
I mean, Mark might.
Yeah.
All things considered, like
I
I'd
mean,
have to
I
check
get
a
yeah,
list.
he probably does have a Letterman
he
jacket for
might
like
be
drama
wearing
or some
his
shit.
high school ring right now.
Oh, he could be.
Oh, he's
we
like,
just
yeah, I
can't
got
see
drama. It's like got the comedy and tragedy mask on the side. He's like, yeah, no big
Class
deal.
of '97 detective.
Fantastic Planet says you're gonna think I'm stupid.
He's gripping his thigh. Something's going on.
And Jill says answers are getting shorter.
Yeah.
You play any sports when you were at Larry?
Not a
Thankfully,
team sport,
Jesus
no.
Christ.
I mean, I like basketball, so I play with my buddies after school and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
didn't want it to become a job, so I didn't
Yeah.
like
Why
join the team
we
and stuff
care?
like that. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. His technique I really admire during the beginning, right? Because he'll pay him out some rope of like, yeah, go ahead, suck yourself off for 10 or 15 minutes, Mark, and talk about the industry. And then he brings him back to the garage and it's like carrot, stick, carrot, stick. But at this point, the carrot is over. Like, let us move on. And I realize they don't want to spook him because, again, they're now going to double down because he's acting like a fucking weirdo. But they don't want to tip their hand too soon, I imagine. But, like, just, it couldn't be more obvious what's going on. And the fact that when all the cards are on the table and a guy has disappeared and you are basically telling us what's in your kill kit, get up. You're free to go at any time.
Right. And Jill says half Jewel grabbed number 3. So the detective probably
half.
saw him grab his balls and was like, all right, where'd you go to high
Back
school?
All right, So once again, John Altinger is not a name you've known. Nobody like that's tried to rent the place from you. Nobody by the name of Jen means anything to you.
No.
There's nothing deleted in your
Relatives
computer.
mean anything?
Should you check your
Oh,
phone?
Maybe. Look at the list.
Okay. All right.
My mom's
Fair
12. So,
Look how fast he is willing, like, in case you missed it, like, the detective's like, hey, are there any gens in your family? And he's like, oh, let's get a list. No, we're done hearing about lists. So, like, even like this detective, he's like, I'm fucking done. And it's a soft refusal, but he's like, okay, yeah, let's move the fuck on, right? I don't want to hear about your goddamn family. Like, you enough are fine.
He's like, it's almost 4 o'clock. That's when I clock out.
Yeah, he's like, oh man,
you know,
4:30,
I don't
rush
know that
hour.
one, it's a checker for sure, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a checker.
No, and I'm trying to think like if they don't really have any like, you know.
Do I have a
regular-
cousin Jen 3 times removed
Okay,
somewhere?
what about Mike and Jason? Now, if we were to call them up and get them to come down, I mean, what kind of guys are they? Are they decent, straight?
Oh yeah, no, they're good guys. They're really open to.
You're basic Canadians,
I met them when I
polite.
was working at Corporate Express,
Yeah.
which is like an office supplies company.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so Mike
Oh,
was the
yeah.
IT
Oh,
guy
my
over
full-time
there. They
jobs.
did some operations and stuff
Staples.
like that, and basically like putting out fires was his job. It
Yeah.
was complex. I wasn't quite sure, but so yeah, they worked together there. Jay left a little bit shortly after I did, and then Mike hung on for a long time because it was a really easy gig with a pretty decent paycheck.
Oh boy, how much do you think he made, Mark?
Well, with taxes, you know, taxes, right?
Of all the office supplies, what was the thing you sold the most?
I kind
Paper?
of recruited them
Yeah.
a little bit from Corporate Express to help me out on Star Wars because they were both huge fans and wanted to do it, and the whole gambit of everything on that project, and then.
Jill says detective just circled in closer with that one, and now the circle is tighter again. He's going in, isn't he?
Yeah, it's getting there. And so here's the thing: he's going to talk about his Star Wars thing, and I think if you want to Google it, it's called Rise of the Rebellion. I want to say
Oh, boy.
it's some bullshit that it's like what Rogue One or whatever, like what they're doing now with the reboots. It takes place in the universe, and whatever. But it's out there. You can find it.
Like that building or anything like that for day players, let us know. So they'll be the ones that I'll go to get like my apartment set and all this other stuff that I need for that film done.
AKA rent an
Anything that's
apartment.
gonna be in Edmonton, they'll pretty much be supervising.
Yeah. Okay.
Because those guys are miracle workers when it comes to building things on the cheap. Like they built me an entire TIE fighter cockpit for like $130.
Really?
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? And like you look.
That really has all the enthusiasm of a dad who has no idea what the fuck you are talking
Right.
about.
Really?
Because like $130, he can picture that, but I'm sure like TIE fighter cockpit, this guy's like, what the fuck? Yeah, really? Like, nope, that did not hit home at all.
The question was, what will his friends say if he calls them, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'll tell him about how they built the TIE fighter for $130.
Yeah.
It was mostly cardboard and caulking and all that other stupid shit. It's like a diarrhea of the mouth too.
Like caulking.
Yeah.
And it just looks like crap. But then when you look at it through a camera, because you can fool a camera pretty well.
Okay, I fucking hate this next chunk. You'll see why. But again, it's with the TIE fighter thing, and he really wants to big up his mate here, so I kind of get why he wants to spread the love a little bit. But it makes me sick to my stomach just think about the next few seconds we're going to have to experience together.
It looks really good. So we're sitting there lighting the thing and switching back and forth to get Star Wars paused at that exact moment to see what our lighting looks like, flipping back and forth, and then they come back to ours and they go, okay, now go back to ours. They think ours is the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done. It looks good. So yeah, no, they did.
Fucking cringe. That feels so like, it was so great, Dad. You know, you wouldn't believe it. And like that nervous laughter of like, why is that funny? I think we're good. It's like a cry laugh. Like he knows he's circling, but he's like, I gotta keep it as normal as possible.
He wants to make the moment last as long as he can before he goes, all right, so the garage.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it because there's technically an encore that is baffling.
Jill says, okay, George Lucas.
They ended up getting, like,
Fucking.
9 really good screen accurate sets for less than $3,000 in total. So, and that included like a giant friggin' Star Destroyer bridge trench and everything. And man, I don't know how they do it. The compositors are gonna have total gold to work with when they finish that off.
Total gold.
Yeah.
Is he wearing skinny jeans?
Already served its purpose.
I doubt it.
His sock looks really high up on his.
Well, he keeps pulling his goddamn pants up and
I
down.
put so much work into it now anyway, this will keep going.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, it's kind of hard to go back to that though when you've got like so much other stuff going on. I'm working on developing painting projects. I've got this incredibly beautiful daughter that I just love to death, and you know, I want to get home to. And
Why'd you murder her?
Oh, she's 8 months.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't murder his daughter.
No, why'd you murder? Period.
I thought he said, why'd you murder her?
No.
I think he was gonna get caught.
Yeah, he was gonna be Dexter. God
It's
damn it.
just basic garbage.
I want her to like, you know, join the family business.
Really?
Break it down. She's like, "Dad, I got a script for you. It'd be awesome." But
That would be great. Yeah.
Speaking of his wife and daughter, you can date him. He joined a date a prisoner pen pal program.
I'll send him a letter.
Obviously, he can't get out. And I don't think he's allowed conjugal visits. And if you send him nudes, every guard will see it because I'm sure they have to slice everything open. So
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
He reminds me, there's a guy on Instagram right now that tells dad jokes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of those. But like, which one are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't know his name. I think he's kind of cute. He's gay. And the bad video
Yeah.
of this and like the fake laugh
Uh-huh.
and the whole nine reminds me of that guy. Like,
That's the thing. He's got one of those faces where you've seen his type around before.
right.
And he's just generic enough to go like, ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like white bread and a glass of milk next to it.
Okay, Mark.
I mean, look at his shirt. It's got the number 5. I don't know. Maybe that's
Yeah,
a
is that
logo
a
of
brand
significance.
or something.
But it's like, that's like a background character of a cartoon would wear.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
Number
you can't
5.
He's not even, he's an NPC in his own life.
He's the fifth sense. Jill says,
Some other
scene
people I just
accurate
wanna
sets.
go
Of
over
what?
and
The
talk
Dexter
about,
stuff or
but,
Star Wars stuff? I'm confused. Who's John? Lol cows. Jill says lol cows.
Oh, yeah. Criminals can be lol cows.
With that, we'll see if there's any.
But the detectives are the ones milking.
okay.
I think I'd better talk to Mike.
There's no
and
pay pigs.
Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only other 2 people that might have had any access to that.
Okay, so you can see here. I've got to go talk to the other 2 guys. He is wrapping up to the interview, right? He's like, okay, let's wind this down. I'm done talking about your fucking movies, but look at that status bar. Do you think he slides out into the night like a silent? No.
Johnny 5 is alive, says Kayla.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Marquee
Yeah,
5.
well, the only guys that have the key to the
Maybe it's Mambo
deadbolt.
number 5.
The big reason
2008?
why I got the padlock is because
Yeah?
I just didn't
No.
trust the deadbolt. Because, like,
I was in high
when
school.
I first got the
That
place,
shit
I knew
hit.
that Kirkside was looking at
Something.
replacing it, so they actually had like
Mama
a
Number
guy
5
come
was
in
out
and
by
put a new
now.
deadbolt on.
Oh, it's out by a way, but way earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what to compare it
That's
to.
what I'm saying. Like, well, was it the Beatles? Like, how old do we want to pull these references that aren't going to make, like,
Isn't that a thing?
what?
Fab 5?
The Fab 5.
Fab 5.
Alive at 5 was a thing back east, not in Canada.
Fab
but
5. I thought it was the Fab 4.
Oh, maybe.
The Fab 7.
Oh, that was alliteration, for God's sake. They were bigger than Jesus Christ.
It's only half the equation. You have this deadbolt, and then the hole that
Jill
it's in,
bet this is
I don't
production
know if you've seen
company
this thing,
t-shirt.
It's like all carved
Oh,
out.
maybe.
There's a bunch of space in there. It's like, I don't know. It didn't look that reliable to me.
Because
he's that guy.
Holding.
So we're back to
I mean,
talking
I
about the
didn't-
lock
you know, I
again.
didn't put much stock in it. I thought honestly that the latch with the padlock would be more of a visual deterrent if anybody wanted to get in there.
They could
And,
just clip
B,
my
just
lock
to
off
kind
and
of
put another
be
one
a
on.
little stronger in general because of the way that it was actually like fastened on there. So I mean, you know, like I feel like an idiot now, but half the time I wouldn't even bother with the deadbolt because it's like
And wouldn't you fucking know it? Like, you locked it the one time you shouldn't have when you murdered a dude behind it. Oh, I feel so stupid for not locking it half the time. You could have, like, easily forgotten to lock it this time.
Is he?
Nope.
Is this in a bad area of Canada where he needs to padlock? a
No, he's like in
garage?
Alberta. It's not in, like, any rough, like, you know, I don't know what rough
Alberta's
constitutes
kinda
for.
rough, I think. I don't know where in Alberta, but
Yeah, I'm
I think
sure.
Alberta,
you
of
know.
all places, is a little rough.
Yeah, but it's not. It was like
Breaking
a
into
suburban neighborhood outside of it's not like there's drive-bys or drug deals on the sidewalk. It's like if you look at the place, it's aluminum siding. It's a classic every neighborhood in Canada looking place.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe in it, quite frankly, from looking at it and loosening it and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was off and on. Sometimes I lock it just for the hell of it, but I mean, generally if I'm coming in and out, I just leave it.
Okay.
So,
Now you
Okay.
say general, if I'm coming in and out. And we talked about how many times you've been there.
yeah.
And there was one weekend where you were there shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've been back about a week ago. And then this last week to drop off cleaning supplies.
Right.
Isn't
we
it
know that
amazing
probably
how he's able to take the
50.
last 20 minutes and
You drop
succinctly
off
put it in
same
about a
day you borrow.
sentence?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Huh?
Yeah.
Fucking love this guy.
And what did you use to pay for those?
I think it was my MasterCard.
Oh, God.
It's either MasterCard or cash, something like that. I had it all floating around, so.
I've got multiple
MasterCard.
credit
What
cards.
is
Do you know what
that?
credit cards
No,
are?
wait for it. Wait
It's
for
a,
it.
prepaid MasterCard.
Prepaid MasterCard.
It's a prepaid MasterCard from the
Yeah.
money store.
The interest rate is through the roof.
Why do you use a prepaid MasterCard?
I had a bankruptcy about 6 years ago, so it's almost going on.
So here's the backstory of him moving to America to do his thing and yada yada bullshit. It's just fucking annoying backstory.
Kale says, according to the Toronto song, Alberta is the only place in all of Canada that doesn't
And the
suck.
reason that I actually had to file that in the first place, and this
I
is like
question
just
that.
bad crap.
Yeah. Hey,
I get-
why don't people run through it? I know what it's like. You
Well,
gotta-
at 21, I got married the first time, young and stupid, to someone that I thought I was going to be with forever, and for the wrong reasons. Long story short, I moved to the U.S. because she was a U.S. citizen, got residency down there, but the problem was I didn't understand how long it would take to get that process done, and I lived down there for a little over 10 months.
I can't remember if I'm conflating him with somebody else, but I want to say like the marriage fell apart because he kept cheating. Because he was definitely cheating on his wife. Like actively right now during this investigation, he was like
With the detective?
with a detective, yeah. In the garage.
The detective put the other guy.
Before I actually had a
My
legal work
God.
permit.
Yeah, it's like this always puts me in mind of every time there's infidelity. I don't know why, but one of the big ones that always rings to me is the Justin Ross Harris case. Do you know of him?
Mm-mm.
So Cliff Notes is he left his kid in the back of his car all fucking day and killed him. Accidentally, according to him, which I call bullshit on. Moral of the story is, during the trial, it came out he was sexting 5 other women, in addition to his wife, and one of them was like 15.
Nice.
Oy.
So bad optics all around.
Oh, I have heard of that guy.
Hey,
Yeah,
Joe's
he's-
here now.
I personally think he sucks.
Hi,
I-
Joe.
Hi, Joe. And I think
Hi, Joe.
whatever. We can go over that interrogation one day if you want to, but my gut says he did that shit on fucking purpose.
To be able to bring in an income. So while I'm down there following my heart,
Yeah.
racking up, like my
Dumbass.
bills are still there, all of this stuff is mounting up. It was over 20 grand worth, and then I was just like, damn. So between having that on my plate,
But this just
and
means you did zero
at
planning.
that point in my life, believing I was going to be in the U.S. for a while,
Yeah.
I figured that filing a Canadian bankruptcy was the best way to go. And my trustee felt the same way. So I filed with them, got it taken care of, got discharged from it within like the same year. But it's just one of those things that's
This question, or this answer rather, was how do you pay for things? Right? What do you
Oh
use to
yeah,
pay
it was
for
how
things?
did he? What does he use with that prepaid Mastercard?
That wasn't the beginning of it. How do you just pay for stuff?
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah, I
MasterCard
think he
thing.
was talking about like, how did you pay for the stuff at Home Depot?
Yeah.
And he was like, either the MasterCard or cash.
And now we're getting a Ken Burns style documentary on the fucking money store and how a bankruptcy can really affect you when you move to America.
kicks on your credit rating. So
Oh, yeah.
when that relationship didn't work out and I moved back to Canada, they still follow me around. It wasn't that big of a deal. because again, I'm not racking up debt or anything like that. I'm just
That might have been a stress burp if you wanted to do that
getting,
dissection
my
of this
job
stuff.
and my place and pay my bills and stuff like that. I didn't need to have credit.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is like if you ever want to book a hotel room or a flight or anything, shop online, use eBay.
Yeah.
You know, it's just easier to have a credit card. So.
Because I keep pushing
much
dollars
easier
into my
to-
computer and they don't work.
I got that thing, ended up losing it. It was a huge pain in the butt anyway, because you can only load it online, and you pay these little fees for every little thing. Even just to call in to check your balance, it charges a fee. So I went to the cash store and said, okay, I need something
Nice
that's
call on
gonna
the
be
burp.
a little more handy, a little more useful, something I can load just by going into the store instead of having to get online and do it every time. And so,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hate having to do something from the
Yep,
convenience and
that's
comfort of my own home.
Yeah.
Fuck that
Shut
shit,
off.
Mark.
I don't even know if prepaid reports your credit payment history or not, but
I think it does help, yeah.
could help. The mortgage I thought was a big one.
He's dadding it
The
up
two
here,
big
man.
ones that are helping me build my credit back right now are a business loan that I have through TD, which is almost paid off.
Mark, I've got to go talk to your friends,
That
buddy.
helped to give me the boost for getting all my equipment.
This is way past bedtime.
And
I realize you had a big day, but I got to go.
So that was just
Mortgage on your
on my house.
house?
It was crazy the way that happened because I was convinced for the amount of income that my wife made and her track record with credit, she'd be the one to get the mortgage, but they looked at the overall situation and said I was the guy. So, okay.
Yeah.
Went in there, did all the paperwork, filed it up, and got it done. And so that worked out really well. Went
Yeah.
through a broker. It was a
Oh,
bit of a
so you
hassle
went
to get
in,
there because
you
it's
did the
a
work,
site
and you
we
got
built
it
5,
done.
6 years ago
Interesting,
that
Mark.
Yeah.
We're kind of there.
You're a screenwriter?
These are the lenders saying, here's all the conditions we want to lend you the money. So
Yeah.
give us proof that you paid this Rogers bill.
Okay,
and
so
that it still counts.
since he's been basically now put on notice, yeah, we gotta end this shit. This feels like a truck spinning its wheels along a muddy road. Like there's no direction. The thing is fishtailing all over the place. He's jumping from subject to subject. There's no rhyme or reason. And I'm sure all of this to him, if he's not actively thinking it, I'm sure it feels better to have control of a narrative while you can. But like your higher brain function at some point has to kick in and realize that this is a downward spiral. But on the other hand, I don't know if this is also just the narcissism where it's just he has to, he's compelled to keep on.
I feel like the detective's like giving an inch and Mark is taking the mile, like conversationally. Because the detective is asking, like, why do you use a prepaid credit card? Bleh.
Right.
Like, what about this bankruptcy? Bleh. What about your mortgage? Bleh.
Yeah. And it's impossible to tell how much is like trying to spin because he is the murderer versus how much he wants to gloat about what a cool dude he is or how things aren't actually his fault.
It honestly, I wouldn't doubt if it's a good combination of the three.
Yeah, it's probably a healthy mixture of all in equal parts, but like...
I don't know, like, I try to be empathetic and put myself into that type of situation. And if I knew that I was sitting across from a detective in an interrogation in a police precinct, knowing full well that I murdered someone,
Right.
like, I'd be a fucking basket case. I would disintegrate. Like, I don't know. And I mean, there's got to be some sort of psychopathology or like disconnection or something that allows him to participate as a human.
Right.
But the other thing is like knowing that he had one botched attempt. He had cold feet on the second attempt.
Yeah.
So like he's got like elements of humanity. Like how is he not falling apart?
Well, I think that the elements of humanity that you are pointing to are actually just faults in his resolve. Because he's just a pussy. Like, you can say, like, get big nuts in your head.
I can see the like, not a murderer aspect. Like, he's just a dude that wants to murder someone, I guess. I don't know. But then to have the cold feet and then to have a casual conversation about your bankruptcy at 4 p.m.
Right.
like, I don't,
What?
it
He kind of goes into it in SK Confessions, or pertaining to this aspect too, because he says that he doesn't have emotions. You know, everybody who. But I feel like that might just be a cliche of someone who thinks that being stoic in the face of horror is cool. Because, like,
but there's also the other side. If he's cheating on his partner, if he's
well, yeah, he's a perpetual liar too. So
Right.
there's that.
So it just seems weird. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to understand it better, but at the same time, I don't know if it would personally benefit me to understand it better.
No, I don't
Because
think
it's like,
it would. It's just that's
this
the thing.
is just
He's-
an anomaly.
Yeah, he's
Like,
just a quagmire of like what toxic fan worship when it butts heads with like probably childhood neglect or abuse or narcissism or whatever, all the elements that make Mark. And
yeah.
that's the thing. We're gonna have weirdos that snap like this. Luckily, he was so stupid he couldn't even pull off one successfully.
Thankfully. I
Ju-
mean,
Right. Jill says he learned those behaviors. He's not authentically empathetic. Plus,
Totally.
he's an absolute loser.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, all of the above.
yeah.
yeah, 100%. And that's just it too. I think he's just what comes. I think the cold feet doesn't necessarily stem from emotion. I think it stems from physical preservation because
Sure.
he attacked the first guy. Because the first guy, Gil, I think his name was. He's pretty short. He's like 5'4" to 5'6", somewhere in there, and he's like 6 something.
Oh.
But the cattle prod that he used on him, or the stun gun or whatever, wasn't super effective, and his gun was made of plastic. So the guy's will to live simply
Right.
beat his desire to do something because he's a pussy. He didn't want to get hurt in any way. So I'm sure when John showed up, he got cold feet because John was probably, if memory serves, they're about the same height and weight. So he's like, oh, fuck.
I can't take this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm sure, like, he got his nuts up and brought him back, and that's what happened. But yeah, he's a coward, not because he has any emotional qualms. It's because he doesn't. When a lion retreats from a buffalo, it's not doing it because it's scared. It's doing it because it doesn't want to get gored. It'll come back.
Under your bank or two, you've taken care of it, and last I checked, that was done, so. Little hassle stuff like that, but it was pretty much just a relatively smooth ride. Was able to
Right into murder.
cure that up and get it done, and worked out great.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the business. Now, you told me about
Since you're not
products
leaving.
you're shooting on. And I want to ask you, if you're doing any other kind of shooting there, like, is there any?
Oh yeah, this
I
part.
mean, I'm just wondering because it brings into play different sort of characters. Are you shooting any porn there or anything like that?
No. I've actually been teased about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I tease back by saying that, oh, I should have gotten into porn because it's guaranteed money in the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Classic
But,
teasing.
it's really not the environment for that. For one thing, it's not even heated.
Yeah.
And this is Canada. Hello.
No, it's
Yeah,
just,
it would be a little
no.
cool.
And then, again, if a filmmaker gets into that side of the industry, the other side will never take you seriously.
Okay.
And I'm already in the
Unless I
industry,
want
so
to go making like 100 aliases, call myself Dick Hard or some stupid.
the
porn
fucking
name or
lamest. Like,
whatever.
who hasn't thought of a porn name?
I don't think I have.
What? You didn't go through junior high and like make up porn names?
Like the stupid ones where it's like your mom's middle name and the house you grew up on.
Well, yeah,
Right.
but that's the thing. We all have something
Maybe
like
you grew up on Dick Street.
uh
and it's
Dick Street.
mom's
Yeah.
middle name is hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was a pet, but I guess the formula doesn't matter. But like everybody like that, maybe it was just me, but like when we were in junior high and high school, like whenever there was just a group of guys around, like in a locker room, whatever, and it would always turn to one of the general modes of conversation, which was how big the girls' tits were growing around us, and or what our porn names would be, or other stupid shit like that. It just felt like a staple. Dick Hard just bounces off like the worst idea ever. But he's kind of like L. Ron Hubbard in that respect. First idea, best idea, I guess.
Run with it.
Fucking Dick Harden Scientology.
You know, like that just wouldn't make any sense. And I've never been really anywhere near interested in that kind of material. I want to be taken seriously. I don't necessarily have to go after Academy Awards or anything like that. I just want to make movies that'll entertain people and get out
That
there
aren't porn.
into actual movie theaters and have tickets and stuff like that. So that's always been the ultimate goal for me. But yeah, no porn or anything like that.
Okay. So, have you ever heard of these online dating sites?
Oh, God.
What are some of the ones you've heard
Dun,
of?
dun, dun.
Well, let's see.
I don't know, Match.com. I've heard of the Plenty of Fish one.
Okay. Let me fit.
So here's the thing. He used Plenty of Fish to lure Johnny. And even if you didn't suspect him up until this point, like maybe you had a Q-tip in both ears and one of your eyes had glaucoma, and all of that has been wiped away. When he goes, oh, let's see, Match.com, I've heard of the Plenty of Fish one, like that is the weirdest way to, like, 'cause do you think that this 60-year-old detective is on the dating scene on the internet?
Right now.
And he's gonna be like-
right now.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard
He
of the Plenty of
just
Fish one.
messaged me. I felt it.
Oh,
vibrate in my
what?
pocket.
But in 2008, he probably wasn't on the scene, and he still lived in Canada. But yeah, like I've
Plentyoffish.ca.
I've heard of the Plenty of Fish one. Oh, it's interesting side story that might not be interesting. When I was an electrician, I went all over the state doing jobs for National Bank of Arizona, doing all their HVAC controls and shit. And he used Plenty of Fish to bang a new skank in every town we went to.
Mm.
2 times, literally in front of me.
Ew.
We've heard those stories before on the show. One of them in particular.
Rough day.
Yeah.
There's,
Kayla says creeping on Craigslist.
Mhm.
I don't know, there's a bunch of them, there's like hundreds of them.
Back when it
Yeah.
existed.
Yep.
So,
R.I.P.
Okay.
Sorry,
you don't
Craig.
frequent them.
no.
Okay.
I did some research on them for a freelance article that I wrote. That was like about a month ago,
About a month ago.
maybe more. It's a little over a month ago. This is a freelance project that I got. I'm on this website called.
Spoiler alert, as that sneeze
Spoiler alert, Tony didn't sneeze.
didn't sneeze. But so the story he's giving here now about this bullshit Plenty of Fish thing. So he also used Plenty of Fish to find the skags he banged in addition to his wife. And she found him, and that's the same bullshit story he gave her.
Ew.
He went so far as to find some website and claim, show her that he was doing some social experiment in online dating or some bullshit. And so he must feel really great that he gets to use it again. Because anytime a liar gets to pull out something that worked, I'm sure it feels good if it works again. Because you go, okay, this worked before. There's confidence in it, you know?
Freelance.com to get basically writing gigs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And this guy said, you know what, we needed an article for online dating and stuff like that, and the rules and the etiquette and whatnot. And I said,
Yeah, what's the etiquette? If you're a woman, you get 4,000 dick pics an hour. That's the etiquette. If you're a dude, you ask for their name and get shut down immediately. Because they have so many dick pics to get
So
through.
what do you end up doing with that? So you pretend you're somebody and do the online dating sort of thing and land
Yeah.
it all up?
You go there, but you tell everybody what's going on, right? Like I would say, it's a social experiment for the purpose of figuring out
Fucking the original
what
Joey
the
Salads.
view and opinion of it is. And that
Somebody
kind of
got
thing.
that
It's a lot
reference.
easier just to touch base with the people who use the site and get their overall opinion from it.
Yeah.
So they would say, well, I get different opinions too, and the guys sort of say things like, well.
Here's the thing. If you were not, ever exposed to human behavior, this seems like a reasonable story, right? But having gone through that and, done the dating scene online and everything, if someone were to, message me and ask me to answer a bunch of questions, I'd be like, fuck no. And I bet everybody else would too. Because it's hard enough to wade through all the stuff or try to get a response, depending on which side of the fence you are, to take time out of that, because they
I'm
ask
not
you.
here for your article.
Yeah.
I'm
'Cause,
gonna
like,
get my dick wet.
to build a profile, they asked you 4,000 questions that were multiple choice, and then you had to write answers. So after all of that fucking homework, I would go apeshit if someone was like, "Hey, can I ask you a few questions about your experience?" No, Mark, this is bullshit.
Jill says catfishing before it was defined, and he
Yeah.
just asked him about it.
That's what I'm saying. It was
And he
proto.
added to it.
Everybody on here's a pig, you know, and that kind of thing.
Well, they already
So,
told him it was in the
break
kill
it
kit. You
down,
might as well
break it
tell him he's
more creative
catfishing
with it
too.
and Make it something that someone would actually feel like reading. And the way I understood it was that they were trying to get something that they could have published in like Maxim Online or something like that and then post it. For me, I wasn't worried about the publishing part
Maxim.
because
Is that
they
still
can
around?
do whatever they want with it.
Is it?
It's just like, you know what,
I
if
don't
I'm
know.
gonna write this
I
for you,
doubt
give
it.
me a paycheck and we're good.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
here, done, go
yeah.
ahead. So in that, you weren't really posing as a person that was trying to date people, what you were doing is just contacting them saying, hey, looking for views on,
Yeah.
okay.
Chatterbait Billy says I'd send
And
a
that's why you don't
middle
want
finger.
all right. Now, like I said, I'm gonna talk to my people and see if I, missing anything and run over stuff. Bear with us a few minutes and thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
If you come back and I'm sleeping, just nudge me up.
All right, yeah, okay. You won't start swinging with it.
I'll clock you in the face, just so you
I
know.
was wondering, did I?
Well, anyway, I gotta go see if you're a fucking murderer. Jesus Christ. So there it is. So there's the next. What we'll be doing next time.
You know it.
But so yeah, what a trip. So to sit through that and with all the context, but like imagine
Is that a windbreaker suit?
maybe not a suit, but it's definitely a windbreaker. Like one of the craziest things about this case is like it was kind of, I don't know, it gives me Chris Watts vibes in how quickly it all happened. Like 'cause there was like
This is like the next day, right?
yeah, like there was no time between him doing all of this basically and getting caught, and the evidence was overwhelming. So there's tons of footage of them being driven around, looking at the place, like trying to find the body, and he just like sulks and pouts, and it's just a wild ride from start to finish. And I don't know, none of it surprised me. Like when all of the stuff I came across and like the SK confessions and stuff, it definitely felt like, you know, a paper tiger situation. And so when it immediately starts falling apart, I don't know, it didn't even feel like vindication. It just felt like inevitable. Like it didn't feel like, oh no, there's any suspense, like he might get away. It was just like he crushed himself under the weight of his own idiocracy. And so it's kind of nice, like, and that's why I think people attached to the Chris Watts case is like he was an objectively shitty person who snuffed himself out of society by being completely incompetent as a human. And so I guess maybe that's why I like it. It's nice to see someone this dangerous, because he would have, if he were smarter, probably would have gone out and kept doing it. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there didn't seem to be like any remorse. There
Yeah.
wasn't like really any emotion tied to it at all.
And there was no reason to do it beyond just for the fuck of it. Like,
Right.
it's not one of those lame insurance scams like Nancy Brophy. It wasn't like a passion killing. It wasn't like he felt himself a hunter. It was like so low energy.
Right.
Like if you want to talk about like the big ones, like in the 70s in the heyday, we had to get into a car and you were searching the streets. Like this is basically the spoiled millennial version of a serial killer, because you got to sit on his fucking ass at home with no job and surf the internet looking for victims to come to him like Uber Eats.
Right. When you first said Dexter killer, I thought you meant like the vindication. Like he found shitty human people
Oh
that
no.
were just like garbage.
No, yeah, that's
Lured them, murdered them to like rid society of that.
would have been rad. But no, he just stole Dexter's methodology
Right.
and his psychopathy, I guess.
But like in the most lame way. Like
Yeah, but that's the thing too. In his manifesto, he does sort of go into, obviously he doesn't stick to it, but he does sort of want to do what Dexter does and find the bad people that obviously he would be judge, jury, and executioner over because he's such a fucking smart and great dude.
Oh, of course.
But again, his weaknesses keep him from being competent.
Oh, he has this list this time.
He brought his list. He's
Oh,
like, here,
look at him.
killed Johnny. Damn it! Shouldn't have
Why
brought
did I
this
cross
list.
that one out?
Oh man! So
Get rid
yeah,
of basic
it's,
garbage.
it's a wild ride, and so now he's rotting in prison. Obviously, like I told you, he's got
And
the
dating.
yeah, he's got the inmate dating. And here's the thing about Canada's like their punishment. Since they don't have the death penalty, and the harshest thing they can levy is life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Whether you kill 1,000 people or one person, that's the maximum you can get.
25?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's the thing. It does feel short, right?
Be right back going to Canada.
Well, here's the thing. They say you're eligible for parole, but they don't have to grant it. So that's how a lot of.
Right. Lots of
Sure.
appeals, and that's it.
But then again, like
But
not
does
to.
it cap out at 25? Like, once you hit 25 years, are you out?
No.
Oh.
It's life, but you get the possibility of parole after 25.
Yeah,
So you can
Okay.
possibly get out of 25, but no one does. Except for, and maybe you've heard this one, maybe not, but there was a bus in Manitoba where a man was hacked to death by a guy who also ate parts of him,
Sweet.
who went through Canada's mental health rehabilitation and was released into the general population with a changed name after killing and eating a man. So what's justice, right? Because holy fuck, he was eaten in front of a bus of screaming people.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But the dude had like severe mental illness and yada yada. So there you go. What feels right to some people won't feel right to anybody else.
Right.
And that's why that, even though it's a pretty stark sentence, because the implication of life in jail and 25 years down the road, maybe getting out, you go, oh, well, that's too easy. But you gotta think, well, that's at least 25 years of day in, day out of living in a concrete shithole, like worried of being shivved and shit.
Well, and like the possibility of parole, like you said, doesn't mean
Yeah.
you only have so many appeals, right?
Like Diane Downs. Do you know her? She killed she killed one of her kids and tried to kill the other two. So she wanted to get rid of her kids so she could be with this new dude. So she like pulled over on the side of the road and shot them all and then shot herself. And complete space case. She's like still sticking to, even though the evidence conclusively showed it was like her who shot them because the kids were like, you shot us. And the bullets were from her gun and she shot herself. She's still like, this Hispanic man said, where is the drugs? And she's like, fucking 40 years after the fact, she still gets parole as recently as like 2 years ago. Gray hair, wrinkled old ass, saying, when the Mexican man said, give me the drugs, bitch, give it up.
Right.
I mean, I guess she's sticking to a story.
But at this point, show some remorse and say that you've been redeemed. Like you've already spent your entire fucking life
the
in
thing is,
prison.
to say that she's been redeemed would be to admit guilt.
Right.
Right,
if
and that's
she's
why
made
she's-
that her truth.
And if
Like-
she's sticking to it,
Yeah.
that steadfast, like she's not going to.
Yeah, and that's why she's never been let out, because at every, whatever, 2 or 4 or 8 years, whenever she's up for parole, she makes a bid for it. And then everybody goes, well, so what actually happened back on this date, 1986? She goes, I was driving down the road and a Hispanic man,
But
no
wouldn't it-
self-awareness.
Wouldn't it be the shit if we just like fast forward 30 years and like some Hispanic man comes out on his deathbed and is like,
Got her,
I shot
bitch.
her.
Yeah.
Right. I did it.
Yeah, and the kids are like, we were in cahoots.
You've seen that? Like, that's, I mean, not,
Yeah.
not
I mean,
to that
To
extent.
this
but,
extent,
like,
no. But yeah, we
the
have seen
kids'
that shit.
False testimony and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know anything about this case, but like, it could happen.
It's wild. That's the thing. As science progresses and like gold standards come along, like DNA and stuff starts to fall off. If you pay attention to it, we go, well, eyewitness testimony is pretty shit. Turns out fingerprints are actually not a real exact science. That's more of an art. Behavioral science isn't a science. Like, aside from like actual legitimate tying factors, like things like DNA, that again is whatever. Everything is so wishy-washy, and I don't know, man. It's hard because 12 Angry Men taught us that witness testimony is fucked because she had to have those glasses, and that was a work of fiction. They knew that shit back then.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll still take eyewitness testimony, and whether you want to believe all of the witnesses in like the Daniel Holtzclaw case, where like dozens of women were saying that they were assaulted by him. And one woman walks out of the interview on camera being like, is that good enough evidence? And they're like, what? You're supposed to tell us. And she's like, I don't know. Maybe he didn't do it. And then they shut the door. So shit like that. But he got like, not 1,000, but somewhere around 600 years in prison for all this shit. And to have like that alone to plant enough seed of doubt to be like, what the fuck? Right. To have one person walk out and be like, well, I don't know. Maybe he didn't do it. Click. What?
Yeah.
600 years. Bang, bang. Fuck.
Crazy.
Anyway, so guys, thanks for coming and watching this with us and listening to us talk. Tony, it's the end of the show, so why don't you start plugging some
bath
stuff?
bombs. Buy some bath
Yeah,
bombs.
ADL. I was going to put the link to your website in the show notes, but I've been running around setting up the studio. Totally forgot. But yeah, I use your beard oil. I recommend it.
I use my beard oil.
I use everything but beard oil.
She hasn't committed
Bath
yet.
bombs,
Yeah.
shower steamers, lotion.
Yeah, your Grow beard oil. It smells so good. I'm wearing it right now. But yeah, one of our, I'm not a sponsor, I'm not a shill. This is just a plug for a friend. And I enjoy your product, so I'm not.
Is it ADLbathbombs.com?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, ADLbathbombs.com.
Yeah, check out this stuff. It's very nice. I used to make my own beard oil, and it was a pain in the ass, and now I don't have to.
With or without CBD.
True. I guess that's all we've got this week. I don't know what's happening next week. I'll have
We're
to check the
with PJ next
schedule.
Friday.
Oh, yeah. PJ's going to be pitching me a mystery fantasy property.
Yeah. Not
can-
Star Wars.
I can already see the numbers on that single digit. Feel it in my bones. Sorry, PJ. Anyway, guys, that's it until next week. So we'll catch you then. Krista, if you know how to take us out, go ahead
We're
and
going
do
to
it.
do our best.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.